Do we have sound now? Dizzy Grizzy? Yay! Gotta love it when I can't get the Yeti connected properly. Thank you for letting me know, much appreciated. So back to the task at hand. Task at hand. Large task at hand. I'm gonna be doing some fun, massive work, but my favorite kind of work because it's the easiest kind of work, dry brushing. So this is the Sisters Bastion Basilica. I've done a grey in base in bright neutral grey. Love me some Pro Acryl. And then I went over that mixed, I would say like 8-to-1 contrast basilicum grey, and then did 2 different coats of washes, really focusing the second one on kind of the basing area. And now I'm going to dry brush with Praxetti White, which if you've ever watched my stream or any of my videos on any of my channels, Praxetti White, I should buy stock in Citadel alone for how much of this I use. And we'll see how it goes. Welcome, folks, as you're coming in. We're doing more chaotic painting because I don't know what to be painting right now. I have some stuff I need to paint, but I need some bits to arrive. Those bits have not arrived, ergo, therefore, I'm painting random terrain that I may or may not ever use. But it's pretty. It's pretty terrain. It's beautiful terrain. I love the style of it. I love the detail. I get a little overwhelmed with the detail, but it'll go really well with all of my other terrain from the Kalnath series as well, from the Kill Team stuff. I think this is a bit big to use for Kill Team. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's my assessment. But otherwise, I will have to learn 40k to use it, I suppose. That'll be my next step. I need to learn 40k, and I want to learn Age of Sigmar because I have found myself getting very into a lot of the fantasy characters. I'm painting also those Barb Archers, which I know zero anything about. I've done a lot of the Chaos demons, the demonettes, lots of Slaaneshi stuff. That can be both, certainly, both, but do figure, I think, a little more into Age of Sigmar. So we'll have to sort out what we do. I've got my snacky snacks. I've got my ginger beer, as maybe my dodgy arthritis-y hands. Big fan of the ginger beer. I've got multiple kinds of pretzels. Real in on the pretzels these days. Ones that are covered in chocolate and ones that are filled with peanut butter. I kind of wish I could get peanut butter filled, covered in chocolate pretzels. That would pretty much be, well, just the best thing ever. And I'm sure it exists, but I cannot find it. If anybody has any suggestions, I feel like that's the kind of thing you might find at like a Trader Joe's. They don't seem to have it at my Whole Foods, which is now the go-to, since they deliver my groceries via Amazon. Makes it very easy. And I am both busy and lazy. And I hate grocery shopping. It's not that I hate grocery shopping, I hate people at the grocery store. It's just everyone's panicked, everyone's trying to figure their own thing out. It's an awful place to be, I feel, for grocery store workers. I was one. It's my very first job. I was working in the grocery store. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, my name is Claire. I am mentally, physically, and emotionally preparing myself for my first Warhammer Grand Tournament. I will be participating mostly in painting stuff, but we'll be doing the Kill Team tournament. And that prospect alone terrifies me in a way. Thanks for I just noticed. Thank you, Dizzy Drizzly. Much appreciated for the follow. Yeah, so, trying to figure out how I best suit myself and be true to me and my sister's team, whilst also trying to learn some of the other teams that I might, anticipate seeing there and not getting completely blindsided. I really only ever played with Will, and that's my partner. He's currently running a team of Death Guard, and I mean, it's a good one to learn in depth, because if the sisters are well known for having a lot of very unique and aggravating rules, it's probably the same for Death Guard, I feel like. Every time he gets to re-roll all of the hit dice, I want to cry a little inside for the sister who's trying desperately to kill a little poxwalker. Yeah, grocery store, worst thing ever. Like, I swear, we all have a story of, some bad experience. I'm sure, again, grocery store workers, it's got to be 10 times worse for them. The other place is like pharmacy. It's awful to go to the pharmacy or the chemist. It feels like everyone's in a rush, everyone is ill. Those are my two least favorite chores to go and do. And I think even now you can get lots of stuff from the pharmacy delivered, prescription drugs and all of that. So I personally welcome our overlords of the 21st century. Bring me my groceries. Pack them for me. Deliver my goods. Probably ruining the environment doing it, but that's a different topic. So you can see I'm just dry brushing away. It's very basic, but here's some that's been dry brushed, and then the rest over here that hasn't. It really just lightens up the edges, makes it look worn, kind of gets a little bit of like a stone type texture to it. And then you can see I've painted all of these red. I'm going to then use a little bit of foam and do a stippling with a darker red, then a lighter red, and then all of these extra little bits and pieces are going to get turned bronze. This is what I will be doing for the better part of the evening, as it is a large piece. Again, I feel like this one makes it worth it just to learn how to play 40k. I am also putting together a Sisters of Silence army. Represent Sisters of Silence. Got my new Warhammer gear on. But that army is going to take me a bit of time and thought to put together, because I'm not going to do it all Sisters of Silence. I want to do some with the Adeptus Custodes, and I don't know that you can run just a full Sisters of Silence only, but I'm going to do a little bit of a conversion, because I'd gotten the Talons of the Emperor set with Alea and Valerian, and I'm going to convert both of them to work as kill team Talons of the Emperor, and that's going to take me some time to do, because he has a different character. And then I've got Will had an old, oh gosh, the other big, Valorius. So then I'm going to take Valorius, and I ordered to turn his Watcher's Axe into a regular Custodes spear. I've ordered some spears, and I've got to cut him off, get that managed, and then while I'm putting it all together, figure out what I want him to have. I may, because Valerian has the spear. I might do the sword shield combination with him. But either way, it'll be a fairly extreme looking team, though they'll play, you know, a little just exactly the same as what's in the thing. I just need to do some conversions to make them fit the rules. Anywho. I am very interested. I don't know, I feel like I haven't gotten into any of the other series, but now I'm gonna start reading the Dark Imperium series. I got really into Talons of the Emperor. I really like the Dawn of Fire series, the new stuff on Gilliman. That's all good. I'm a huge, Sisters fan. I've read literally every book, short story, concept on them. And I'm trying to find more on the Sisters of Silence. I'm trying to find more on just the Adeptus Custodes in general. So if anybody has any recommendations there, please do let me know. I am looking for the next book, but I'm going to read The Dark Imperium, which is, more Gilliman goodness, but kind of from a different perspective, it sounds like. And then that also has the Death Guard, which will be interesting to kind of see their characters. Because, when I'm playing with Death Guard, they just look like the goofiest, jokers I've ever seen. So I'm really curious. I think they're going to be kind of orky, like they'll have their own strange language, be a little silly. I don't know that they'll have, a lot of character development. Maybe they will. I don't know. I've been surprised by some of the character development in these books. On even like there's a book about the sisters written in the perspective from an orc, and that one is pretty interesting. That's a Danny Ware. That one's pretty good. Which I found fascinating. As we were talking about last night on the stream, I'm also trying to make myself love, or at least enjoy, the world of the Space Wolves. I don't know why I don't like them. It was the third book in the Dawn of Fire series where they were in it. It was mostly from their perspective, and I don't know why. I had a hard time getting myself through that book. I didn't find their storyline interesting. I didn't understand half of what was happening. I don't know if it was just I didn't like the way the book was written, but I don't remember who wrote that book, but it was typically somebody like a Guy Hawley that I typically like, and it was just impossible for me to get through. So I kind of blamed it on, the fact that I just don't like the Space Wolves. Not sure if that's really the problem. I'm sure there's some redeeming factors to them that I'm just not aware of. So if anybody can tell me something good, why I should like the Space Wolves. Because again, I also very much like Vikings, and they're basically space Vikings. Big fan of Vikings. Very much looking forward to the continuation of The Last Kingdom. They're making the movie. I'm usually not a fan, if they're going beyond, they're going to try and drag things out. But it sounds like even the author of the books is sort of on board and is helping that process. That feels a little better than them just going off and deciding they're going to make a book or expand a book series without, really listening to what the author's mindset is on it. That can be one way or another, certainly. But, it's also one of those things where you can do it really well, you can do it really poorly, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm excited about that. So I do like Vikings. Moral of the story, I don't know why I don't like the Space Wolves. But with my addiction to blue paint that I never use and just have copious amounts of, it'd be nice to have something to paint blue. And they're apparently blue, so I've been told. And if you've just joined, I'm here working on the lovely basilica that I have been jamming through for the last few days on and off stream. The final-ish step in the process before I get to detail here. You know, it's fun. I love dry brushing. I know it's such a cheat code and it doesn't necessarily, you know, there are other ways than dry brushing. There are more advanced ways. But if I just want to punch through a bunch of stuff, I could spend my life on a piece of terrain like this. Like, this would take me forever. I just, yeah, right. I got to find ways to get through it. Hence, dry brushing. Okay, that makes me feel better, Dizzy. I am glad that you can like Vikings and not like the Space Wolves. Although I also heard that there is a group, I'm about 18 months into my Warhammer journey, my Games Workshop addiction, and I also heard that there are space dwarves that have recently been redone in the game, and I also like dwarves, so I'm curious if maybe I will pick up and like the space dwarves instead of the space elves, which I feel like with dwarves I could also use my blue, but anybody can tell me I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's other things, like I can always use blue to just paint something else. It's part of the thing. I always paint my sisters in the style that is exactly what is from the book, depending on the faction and order that I choose. And I know that that's a little weird. You don't have to. And I love when people do some of the more interesting ones. I saw one that was like, you know, pinks and teals and all these different colors. I just really like them to be, you know, the reds and golds and reds and blacks and whites and golds, though I'm not quite brave enough to do white armor quite yet. I have done a little bit of white. It's just such a hard, so hard. Welcome Raid. Hello, how are you all? Wonderful to see the Raid party join. Happy to be here, thank you all. Oh, thank you, Wolf and Darius and Deuceable and Hamburg. Thanks for the follows, you all. Welcome over. I am painting the Basilica. I'm doing a bit of dry brushing. Overwhelming amounts of raids. Oh, thank you, Dr. Rhino and Moxie and the Amish Stig. The Amish Stig, thank you, that's awesome. I love that. Oh, Maul's Darkness, thank you. Welcome. Crolacious Glitch. Love it. Thank you all so much. Much appreciated. I am overwhelmed with joy. Lethal, Rip, wow, big group. You guys are huge. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Rip Artist. Thank you, Lethal. Go. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Oh, man. This has made my night. Thank you guys so much. I am learning a lot in doing all of these processes and doing streams and just kind of playing around with it. Just learned. Thank you so much, you guys. Oh, thank you. Oh, you made some models using the statue? The statue is so awesome. Oh, thank you, Lethal. Thank you so much. I'm at the stage where I am dry brushing And then you can see, so this is what I've done with everything else. My favorite part is that there's all of these tiny little bits, and I've gone completely mental and have decided to paint all of the tiny little bits because why not? Oh, you turn them into armatures. That's awesome. That's a really good idea. I have the statue, and I'm thinking about using it in a diorama that I'm putting together for my kill team for the grand tournament here on the West Coast. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of excited by the prospect, but I'm loving how detailed all of this stuff is because I've done the Calnaf stuff already. This one's just super killer. I honestly, my goal when I paint texture and any type of terrain is when I go to pick it up, if I actually am surprised that it feels like plastic, right? I want to pick it up thinking that I'm actually picking up stone. My partner is a brilliant painter. He's the one that's got me into all of this. And sometimes he'll paint things that are like metal barricades. And when I go to pick it up, it's like, damn, that is actually not real. Like I almost think it's going to be heavier than it is. Love that feeling. That's like a solid goal of mine. I'm on the West Coast. I'm up here in the Seattle area. We're all Pacific Northwest. Love up in here. Yeah, I do have the Novatates kill team, so I'm running a very diverse Novatates team. I have no militants in it. I've got it all set up to be quite lethal. And we're doing narrative play together right now. So my partner's running Death Guard, and he's got 8 Poxwalkers, and 3 Plague Marines against my Novatates, and we've played I think 7 games. I've won 3, he's won 2, and then we're tied on 2. And is there anything worse than a tie in any game? Much less in something like this. It just drives me crazy. But anyway, so that's kind of what we're running right now and what we're gonna take to the next area. I don't know where Elliot is. Thank you so much, Dee Dee Martin. Thank you, Meet Robot Hobbies. I love these names. They kill me. They make me laugh. Down in New Mexico. Yeah, you're fairly close. We actually just were down in New Mexico in August in Albuquerque, and then we drove back. We picked up a car and drove back. It was quite fun. It's a long way, but not too long. Praise Grandpapa Nurgle. Amen. Amen. Papa Nurgle. Yeah, I don't know where Will's Nurgles are, but he's building this ridiculous set of 60 Poxwalkers, and it's the most insane idea. I absolutely adore that he believes in himself enough to do that. He's about a third of the way through, maybe a fourth. I would lose my mind trying to build all of the same thing in that kind of repetition. It would just, you're just around the corner in Australia. Yeah, you're not far at all. That is a bit too many Poxwalker. More float drones, yes. Pittsburgh. Oh, we are around the world up in here tonight. I love it. I love it. I clearly am not from the West Coast. I grew up across the Atlantic and here. I am a dually. American father, Irish mother, blah, blah, blah. But I go where the wind doth take me. Oh, gosh, you guys are awesome. 60 is the exact right number of Poxwalkers. Northern suburb, Elliot. I don't know. I live in kind of a north, like farther north, closer to Canada suburb of Seattle area. I haven't lived here forever, so maybe I'm just unsure of where everything is. But yeah, if they play Kill Team, let me know. We'll start a group. We're starting to go to some of the local game stores and play to get me more experience playing with people, that don't, sleep in the same bed with me, so are probably a little bit nicer. That said, I don't think he actually is that much nicer. He does He does play quite aggressive. The problem is, honestly, the Novitates are really hard to beat. It's quite a yeah, they're the faith points getting to reroll, and then as you build them up, because we're doing narrative play, they've got all of this great equipment and extra boons and things. Yeah, they're quite fun. The problem is I quite forget what half of my equipment is or does, and right now I've got one sister who's, down at the brink of death, so I shouldn't be doing this. I should probably be building myself a new sister to switch out. Yes, my accent gives me not away at all. Oh, the paper cover. This is honestly, it's just like butcher paper. You can get it from a hobby store or Amazon or Michael's or some sort of craft store. It's just regular hobby butcher paper. We also use it for the back of our paint station. So when we're doing airbrushing, then you can just rip it off. It works really well. It's pretty thick. For this, I was doing a lot of drippy, so added an extra thing, and I do have a silicone mat that I put down, which works really well. But once it's dirty, you just roll it off, stick a new one down. We tape it underneath the desk, works really well. Everett, that is literally, I am pointing at Everett. That's awesome. Yeah, that's right near me. We probably, if they go to the same hobby stores we do, let me know. We are all a part of the same world. It's shocking how tiny this world is. You can have somebody who lives, who has friends and neighbors right down the street, and then you can have people who are in Australia. I think that is the beauty of the 21st century and streaming and having access to people we didn't have. It's actually quite interesting because when I was young, my dad was really into ham radio operating, so he would talk to people in Australia, and I just found it incredibly fascinating that he could do that. And now here we are, we do it all the time, and we can do all of these crazy things like stream, and you can see my multiple video streams and music and all this stuff. Yeah, I just think it's fascinating. Feel better about where you live. I am always curious. Does anybody know why the Midwest is called the Midwest? Because it seems really not as much west as it is mid to me. I would love if somebody has the answer to that, because it is very confusing. Trash bags work really good. I think the only thing I don't like about trash bags for something like this is I will slip my hand in it and then be covered in stuff. I need something that soaks it up a little bit. I'm a messy person. I will end up being covered in paint and detritus and everything else. In general, I just not very good. I'm a very clean human being. I do clean up after myself, but not so much on the other side. Midway to the west, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I don't know that I have much in the way of 1800s history. We did watch that show 1876, and what I found fascinating about it is, isn't that way later than the train existed? So why were they still going through this horrible process? It just seems a little funny to me. I don't know. Anyway, made a good show. It was quite well done. In the 1850s, Americans tried to grapple with those new territories settled in Middle West because the territory sat between the north and southwest of Oklahoma and Texas and the northwest of the Dakota Territory. Okay, Dr. Rhino, next question. Did you Google that? Or did you actually know? And we have the master pub quizzer on our chat tonight. Because that's impressive. I thought it would be some random answer of it's, halfway between or something. So that is actual fact with dates and times. I'm going to go with you Googled it. You knew it, but that's all right. All right. More accurate. The date, maybe. I would get that a few years off. I mean, if anybody asks me any questions about Irish history, I'm usually, 75% accurate. to the thing that happened and maybe 50% accurate to the dates and probably 50% accurate to where it actually happened in Ireland. Speaking of, we do have our patron saint holiday coming up, which I have to say, honestly, the Americans do St. Patrick's Day so incredibly well that it's shocking as an Irish person, because we've only just started doing it as well as you guys do. So thank you, American Irish people, for your giving us the idea to make St. Patrick's Day not just a patron saint holiday, but really going to town on it. I'm quite impressed. Quite impressed. Oh, nice. How did you like it? I feel like most people that visit Ireland in general really, really either love it or it's not at all for them. People who like bigger cities and, you know, have a little bit more adventurous spirit. I wouldn't call Ireland a very super adventurous place. It's very, very calm and quiet, and, you know, yeah, sure, there's nightlife and all that in Dublin, but if that's what you want, you're not gonna get the best of it. Yeah, actually, I don't drink very much anymore myself, which I know is sacrilege as an Irish person. Guinness just came out with a 0%. So in, I think, 2021, 2022, it seemed like a lot of folks maybe overindulged in the pandemic and have decided to drink less or not drink, and even Guinness has come out with a 0%. Friggin' awesome. I think it's great. I'm also a general non-drinker. I'll have a glass of wine out with dinner every once in a while. But yeah, you can have Guinness. You just have to go. I do find I did see it at the grocery store, Whole Foods, the other day. So that is an option. You can have Guinness, just not the one that is typical. I actually want to go. I think I might go see if I can find it again before St. Patrick's Day, because that would also be really good for making fish and chips or whatever other things I tend to throw beer into. Oh, you're so welcome for the raid. I am completely and utterly excited and happy that you're here and that you followed and you're a part of our community. It was great to watch you do your thing, so thank you for coming and watching me do mine. Much appreciated. Commander Mittens Company. I also love your name. I want to just say it over and over and over again. I have to drink so much to feel it. Ugh, that's an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling. Nobody wants to feel like they've got to go too far to town. Oh, we've got people who know each other. This is making me really happy. I have learned to find community here, and actually last night we got raided for the first time, and I found out what raids were, so I was happy to pass it along to Commander Mittens as I hear she is called, which was awesome. And then now she's here visiting us. I think this is great. I'll be very, very frank. I had no idea what Twitch really was. It was this thing that my son did, and now he thinks that I am either kind of crazy or really cool. I'm not sure which. Sometimes a little bit of both, dependent on that I've started a Twitch channel. But he also thinks it's really cool that I'm into modeling and getting more and more into video games. I think it's just the pandemic kind of kept me in my house. Found new things to do. I've always been a homebody. I've always been a painter, and so mini painting was a natural thing. And I love the stories. I love this universe, which is shocking to me. I'm not a huge, Star Wars is cool. It's fine. I was never really into it. I didn't honestly really get into it until probably dating Will. And my son, he's 18 now and super into it. But very different. Yeah, it looks like we've got a few non-drinkers in the chat. I love that. I think it's, yeah, at the end of the day, you do what's right for you. You figure it out. You decide what's best for your health, your mental, physical, emotional. At the end of the day, for me, it was just deciding to stop drinking because it turns out alcohol was a depressant, and maybe that was causing me more pain and harm than I should have been doing to myself. I'm about to cry, speaking of depressants, because I think this is my last Proxeti White, and I am going to run out before this miserable beast of a thing is done. Time to get onto the Warhammer store. Maybe I'll head over there tomorrow and see if I can find one. Luckily, it's not too far away. Don't know when they close. My partner is out. I could maybe have him stop. If you're listening, babe, we need more Proxeti White. More Proxeti White. Stat. Help. Oh, I do use a lot of this Proxeti White. I'm honestly doing that statue, the Catherine statue that comes with this. Took some major Proxeti White. I also used it on my Sisters of Silence, on all of their fur bits, and I did 2 whole fire teams of those, because I ordered it, and I accidentally bought 2 boxes instead of 1, because apparently that's how I roll. Even though, I don't drink. I had done a thing that I used to do when I would drink and forget that I ordered something, or order something and not remember it at all, lest I order another one. And needless to say, that still happens, apparently. So maybe it wasn't the alcohol. Oh, sad parrot. Oh, you have sad Dr. Rhino sad. It's not a parrot. I also have terrible vision. I should probably put my glasses on to help me. I don't know where they are. See, this is what happens when you get old, people. And look, they're literally right here in camera view. This is my life. Welcome to my life. I swear I will get my shit together. I will work on getting my shit together. I'm tired. I know it's funny. Last night's channel, Mittens, the reason why we passed over to you was I couldn't stay up anymore past 11:30. I needed to pass to somebody who had more stamina or was in a different time zone. I have 0 mental stamina past about 10. I don't own a lot of things in the Army Painter line, but I will say the palette, and they have some of the best dry brushes. I do like the dry brushes from Monument Hobbies, but I find that the crimp is not enough or something. The tips fall off of them. Maybe I'm too aggressive. I'm an aggressive dry brusher. Maybe that's my problem, but I haven't had that happen with these, so I do like these quite well. And I do love an aggressive dry brush. It just makes everything so much easier. And again, I'm just trying to get through these pieces of terrain, because I also want to do the boarding actions. We've got those to build, and then once Will builds and primes them, then it is up to me to paint them, because I have become our in-house expert on all things terrain, apparently, which is totally fine, because it is fun. It is quite fun. Oh, thank you, Auto Steve. Much appreciated for the follow. See, this is the problem with readers, though. I can't see what's happening there. I can see what's happening here, and then I've got to look out. Getting old is very hard. You had things, and then you suddenly no longer have those things in your life. Like, eyesight, or the ability to work out without feeling like you're going to die the next day, or, you know, being able to plant a plant without your knee giving away, or go up and down the stairs, or, you know, work long days and be able to stay up past 10 o'clock. Yes, if I could paint, if I could have one thing just magically appear in my painting, it would be faces. I want to do everything else, but I am horrible at faces. They almost all of my sisters have horribly, you know, lazy eyes, crooked faces. Their smiles are, you know, grotesque. It's like they're turning to the warp. They've all grown up as a warp baby. I think also I am going, however, to the face painting, or painting faces, I think it's called, at the grand tournament in Tacoma, which I'm quite excited about. Yes, the triangle grip. Ooh, both knees. Ooh, yeah. See, knees early on, that is the killer. So I'm the same. I had my first knee surgery when I was 17, and then I've had 4 since to try and, you know, fix the problems from the first. And once your knee goes, then your hips go, your ankles go, everything else. Like the human body, it's just meant to fall to bits. I'm quite convinced we are a very terrible designed, you know, thing. I would take some Astartes blood and give me a gene seed, put me in a servitor, something, anything. Give me a dreadnought. Oh, gout is so painful, so painful. Yeah, that's not good. I have a triangle eraser grip. That's genius. I never thought to put those little grippies on the brushes. You are smart. And yes, on my regular brushes, I have all of the triangle grip. Much easier, so much more ergonomic. Doesn't get the arthritis flaring up. Both knees by 35. Yeah, I will have knee replacement in the next couple of years. I'm hoping that I keep kind of pushing it, right? Let it get better. So by the time, you know, depending on your age, hopefully you get the best. And anytime you have knee surgery, always get the best doctor possible. There is no reason to skimp when you are talking about something like that. Iron hands also acceptable. Yes, that would be acceptable. Admech, yes. The weakness of the flesh. Exactly. Yeah, it's the weakness of the flesh is not, you know, what the Bible talks about with, you know, us not being able to give in to, or us giving into temptation. No, the weakness of the flesh is quite literally that the human body just breaks down no matter what you do. It's quite malleable when you're young. This is something that I find funny with, you know, watching kids grow up, and, you know, as they get older, they start complaining about things that they never really experienced or complained about before. It's like, yeah, 18. It's already starting. Well done. You've now gotten to the point where you're just slowly decomposing. Congratulations. Welcome to adulthood, honey. So I feel like kind of happens. Stroke at 31. Oh man, I'm so sorry. That has got to be incredibly hard. I feel like with health things, there are people who are just dealt hard blows, and I think it's remarkable that you keep going and are into hobbies and able to do things. I feel you. I'm so sorry. Hopefully you're doing better, and you have a strong recovery team and able to get everything going. I hope and assume that you're still able to paint and do some of those things you love, or if you're not a painter, at least play. Do the Warhammery things. Yeah, health is such a mixed bag. It's shocking how much one person's health can be just based on the genetic lottery at the end of the day. Oh goodness. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna run out of the Proxeti White. I'm 90% sure there isn't one. I do have some other white that I could use. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that the community, I am really impressed. You know, like anything, there's certainly not all good eggs, but there's a lot of good eggs in this world of Warhammer. I'm finding. I love it. I'm excited that, you know, it's going to get a little bit of love and attention and hopefully a good influx of money from all of the stuff with the Amazon, you know, push. It seems like more people have gotten into the hobby over the last few years just in general. Again, maybe similar to me because of the pandemic and it's such a good thing to do. Yeah. What do you paint? Do you play, Wolf? What's your mode of being in the community? What things do you do? What helps with fine motor skill? My first foray and desire as a career was in medicine, so I'm always fascinated at how people use things to better their health, versus just using the typical ways and means of Western medicine. Not that Western medicine is not something we should all care about and pay attention to. Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like Dr. Rhino is a good guy, and also has a good following. I will make sure to follow. Oh, I will go through and follow folks after for sure. Let me see. How do I do this? Follow. Oh yeah, account created 2014. I love seeing when people actually joined Twitch because I honestly didn't realize it had been around for so long. Paint, haven't played a game since 3rd or 4th edition. All right. Fantasy battles meaning Age of Sigmar or Battle Cry. What is that? Yeah, I also got into the game and the whole Games Workshop stuff last year. My partner has been in it since the 80s, and I kind of, you know, it was always his thing. Never really paid attention. And then I painted some, like I was a, you know, typical canvas painter. And then we all just started painting some random little things to bide our time, and I really enjoyed it. And then I read a book, and the lore, I love the Warhammer world. It is really difficult to create a world that is this immersive, this impressive, that has an aspect where it's not just one person's vision, right? It's a community. It's the Black Library and this group of writers. I find the whole thing so fascinating. And it's so well done, and they care for the lore and, you know, make sure that it is being represented the way they want, whilst making it also open and, you know, again, like I could go and write stories and submit them. I think that's great. Fantasy, it's old world before the end times, then, oh, interesting. Fantasy's, so, how, what, they blew it up, they didn't keep it, so it doesn't exist anymore. You can't go out and find it or buy it unless you scour the eBays. Dornan Space Wolves. Okay, Space Wolves. We're back at the Space Wolves world. See, I want to like the Space Wolves. Somebody tell me why I should like Space Wolves. I want to like them. I didn't like them in the Space Wolves book that was a part of the Fire of Dawn series. I want to like them. I love Space Vikings. I love Space Vikings. I love the idea. I love Vikings. I hated that book. It was awful. I'm sorry. I want to like them. I love the idea of space Vikings. I like space Vikings, space dwarves. Huge Viking fan. What's a better book? What is a better Space Wolves book that I should read so I can understand and get the lore and not be sad? Read the Space Wolves series, William King. All right, writing it down, writing it down, writing it down. I'm not writing it down. I don't have a pen. Okay. Battle of the Fang. William King. Got it. Okay. I will come back and be a Space Wolves fan. Because I really do like Vikings. I am a huge Viking fan. I've watched all of the Viking shows, movies, fascinated by it all, absolutely adore it. I mean, being Irish, you know, we're not so far removed from the Vikings. It is where all the red hair does come from, so they say. The Parting of the Ways. Sorry, Born the Fell-Handed. Alright. I have learned a little bit about some of the Space Wolves stuff. And maybe it might also be, because I'm so new, it was written in a way that it assumed a lot of things, and so I had a really hard time. I love Adeptus Ridiculous. I love Adeptus Ridiculous, and oh gosh, my brain. See, this is me on no sleep. I can't remember names. Yeah, there's a couple of other YouTube folks that I watch to get into the lore. Adeptus Ridiculous is really good. I think he does a brilliant job, or they do a brilliant job. Born the Fell-Handed. So, who is Born? This is a part of what I struggled with in the original book that I read, the Fire of Dawn series one, which was, at the time, I didn't even know who Layman Russ was. I had to go, and it felt like every third page I was having to go internet to find out a bunch of stuff about things. The Space Wolves series is the story of Ragnar Blackmane. Okay, see that? Now you're talking. Ragnar, I'm in. Talks about Ragnar Blackmane. Bjorn is the oldest space marine alive. Oh, all right. In quotation marks, as are space marines alive. See, this is what I want to know. Do we consider space marines human? Are they demigod? And maybe it's different types of them have different segments, but they seem quite godlike to me as a mere mortal. Oh, he's a dreadnought. Yes. Bjorn is the oldest space marine that is encased in a dreadnought. Oh, I do like the dreadnoughts. Again, kind of want to be one when I grow up and die. It really feels like we should probably get on that. I know Disney with his reanimation stuff. He really missed the mark there. Don't just freeze the body. Put it in something worthwhile. Useful. I'm now doing the interior section, which is basically me hiding my brush from the camera, so you really can't see anything that I'm doing. Apologies. But I've gone over with the first bit, got my little edges. I need to go in with a smaller brush and do a little bit of detail. And then all of this stuff, all these bits, all this stuff, I think I'm going to do actually do some stained glass in here with some kind of method. It's probably going to kill me slowly, but I'll enjoy it after it's done. But yes, that's where I'm at. Gene-engineered humans. So, gene-engineered humans. So they're human hybrid? What are they, like, and what would be the hybrid other part? Are they like part machine? What are they engineered to be? Are they just superhuman? This is all hypothetical, I know. But these are the things that I think about. We were talking last night about how I also want to understand, in the world of Warhammer in the 41st millennia, if somebody is a historitor, for instance, or an adept, is it their job and then they're paid for that job, or is their payment you have a place in society, you get room and board, and you serve the emperor? Do they make money? Are there credits? I've never heard credits or money be talked about. I'm very fascinated. But again, I haven't read everything, but Will, who's read, all 60 some books within the Horus Heresy series, also doesn't have the answer to that. But he also doesn't necessarily always remember those kinds of things, because I think about things in crazy, weird ways. Like dogs are gene engineered. Like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like, it's basically if you were to take a human and make it better or change certain things about it. They start as humans that are given to the chapters and are raised into Space Marine status. They see it as their duty to die for the Golden Grandpa, so they don't get paid. Okay, so there's no payment, there's no money changing hands. That makes sense, because it does feel like I've never heard money being exchanged or even really talked about. And it feels like, again, because I've gotten deeper-ish into the sisters' lore, that's where it really, like, they're crazy fanatical. And having, grown up in Catholic parochial school, like, that all resonates very strongly with some of the stuff that I remember where, yeah, people are willing to go to the ends of the earth. And probably, I don't know, is a nun paid? See, this is where my brain goes. Now I don't understand. Does a nun get a salary? Because they live in the This is my life. This is my brain. This is how things work up here. Sisters are a beautiful faction. They are a beautiful faction. They're also really kind of scary. Terrifying. The money is in thrones, if I recalled correctly. Oh, interesting. Usually gifted as children. I thought about that. I don't know what the currency is. Thrones. Maybe thrones. Okay, we can probably Google this. Yeah, I think they've done a beautiful job with the sisters as a faction. I think the lore is really good. I also think this kind of stuff from terrain, what I was working on last night, I might pick this back up tonight, is I've got the Rhino. Got some big ass models I'll never use. I need to just start learning 40k clearly, because I've got 800,000 million points. I think I've got 8,000 points, but I think these are just stunning. The level of detail, the specificity, the crazy, fact that you've got this beautiful creation that is absolutely deadly is just, yeah, it's super fascinating to me. I really like the whole concept of the sisters. And of course, being a woman, it is nice to see them have some women, female characters, and the sisters' characters, kind of that whole, the story behind them being, the ecclesiarchy was told they couldn't have, men battling for them anymore. And so they said, fine, we'll go take orphan women and turn them into, it's basically the James Bond kind of story, right? We're going to take orphans and turn them into killers for the Emperor. For the Emperor. Death organ, exactly. Nuns with guns. I love the idea of nuns with guns, and I go one step further. I call the Novitates baby murder nuns, because that's basically what they are. They're baby murder nuns that can re-roll their dice and with faith. I think it's pretty much on point with everything I've read about the sisters. They're awesome. In the beginning, the Space Wolves Oh, you are now distracted by chaos. What part of chaos are you painting? Because I too have gotten distracted by chaos. Because how do you not get distracted by something as glorious as a cape of skulls? It's a cape of skulls. I love it. I love it. Like when I brought this home, I just died of happiness and I immediately put it together and immediately started painting it because it just is beautiful. It's stunning. It's amazing. And it's a dry brusher's paradise. Death Guard. Death Guard and World Eaters. I don't know much about the World Eaters. I know a lot about the Death Guard just because Will plays Death Guard in our kill team narrative play. So I've gotten to know quite a bit as we heard with the 60 Poxwalkers that will be playing in our when we start doing actual 40k, which it'll be interesting to see how 40 Poxwalkers do against my sister's army. I'm also building out these beautiful little guys. Very, very excited about these because I will finally be able to use all of my blue paint on my Thousand Suns. So I'm gonna do, I haven't decided if I'm gonna do the Thousand Sun Demons, which the name I can't remember, or the Rubites, but these are just some of the coolest models I've ever seen. I love them. I think these far exceed the old models that are in the Horus Heresy. I don't like the Horus Heresy version nearly as much. These are far more interesting to me, which just meant that we had the Horus Heresy ones just sitting around and I refused to paint them, so maybe it was really just I wanted an excuse to paint or to buy something. Who knows? Don't forget the Butcher's Nails. The 12th Legion, World Eaters, Turn Traitor, and the Primarch. And the Spoiler. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. See, I'm still learning a lot of people. They have installed these torture devices that make them extra angry. Anytime. I feel like anybody that uses torture devices is kind of already extra everything, but certainly extra angry. That is one thing. Also, they don't really talk about it quite as much, but it does strike me that the sisters have all the penitents and the penitent engines and the repentia in a way and the mortifiers. They're kind of into torture as well, just a little different, and in the name of the Emperor. And not having enough faith. It's a little Inquisition crusade-y. They're quite fascinating to me. I do love those penitent engines. Those are so cool. I built a couple last year and finally painted. I got one of them done, and then I've got two that I need to finish up a few things on, but those are fun. Super cool. Blood for the Emperor, skulls for the Golden Throne. Exactly. If a psyker has the nails installed, they can turn into nuclear bombs. They have 0 psykers and are really good at melee. Interesting. I'm also fascinated because I'm gonna be playing a Talons of the Emperor group that I'm building out with some of the Null Maidens, and I'm very interested to see how that plays against something that actually has more psychic ability, because thus far I haven't encountered a lot of the psychic stuff. And even some of the sisters have abilities that negate psychic power, but it's never come up. But one of the characters, the Condemner, has a null rod, which I assume the point of a null rod is that it nullifies psychic ability. Not entirely sure, to be honest. But I've never gotten to use it. Paint, 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 paint. The Wolf Spear army list is pretty gnarly. Wolf Spear. I've never heard that one. Can you tell me more? I am really excited. I think the best part about doing these streams is how much I'm learning about different characters and yeah, like what people actually know, and getting to know more about what other options I have. And basically, you guys are all trying to make me just buy more. You all work for Warhammer, don't you? Because that's what's gonna end up happening. Gonna end up falling in love with Space Wolves, and then I'm gonna buy some Space Wolves, and they're gonna sit in my pile of shame. Or as someone last night called it, the pile of opportunity. Or a very nicely organized pile of opportunity behind me. Even if it's organized, it doesn't mean it doesn't look at you with less disdain. Maybe that's what Blood Angel should say. Blood for the Emperor, skulls for the Golden Throne. It actually is a good moniker. I think we should start using it more frequently. It does make more sense. I do feel as though the blood for the blood god is not the only blood that is forced to be spilled. The Wolf Spear army is centered around Thunderwolf cavalry. Power spears and shields in their offhand. So similar to like a shield guard in the Adeptus Custodes. They have a spear and a shield. Sounds similar. And then cavalry, so are they on horses? Because I would like to paint something with a horse. It's like the only reason why I might do Astra Militarum. Just for the horse. Guess again. No. Not a horse. A wolf? Is it a wolf, or are they riding a wolf? Because that would also be cool. That's the other thing. Wolves are my favorite animal. So I want to like the Space Wolves. Okay, well, I can at least like the Thunder Wolves. They're riding, they could be riding horses, but they're riding wolves instead. I do like that. Down. Alright, I'll have to learn about Thunder Wolves now. Tell me more. Is there a book I can read? I wish that you could just download all of the codexes and have a digital version. I haven't seen that. Please, if somebody tells me that exists, I'm going to bang my head against the wall because I looked everywhere. I do know that you can buy all the codexes and you get the code and then you can have the digital version. But I just want to have a digital version because I don't necessarily want to take up all of the space in my house with all the codexes. But I do like that you can learn about things in the codex. They ride Thunderwolves. The Space Wolf Saga has Ragnar's 2 wolf companions. Okay, alright, I'm gonna have to read the Space Wolf Saga. We have wolf companions. You've sold it. I will be shouting your praises when I can finally get into the Space Wolves, and I will paint them live so that you can see and everyone can know that I can actually use the blue paint that I buy. This is an issue. If you weren't watching the stream last night, then you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's very clear that I gravitate toward blue paint. But I don't paint anything that is blue. I paint sisters in red and black and gold and white and all of those lovely sistery colors. And then I paint weird things in purples. And there are some blue on my Blizzbarb archers. There's some blue on my demonettes, but not the kind of blue that I buy. And last night I went to my local hobby store to go get some more contrast basilicum gray because I use the crap out of this stuff on my lovely terrain. And they had a 50% off bin, or a buy one, get one 50% off. I don't even remember. I just went through it and bought all of the blue paints. So now I have 4 different colors of dry blue. Why? Don't know. No reason. I will find something to use it for eventually, but it would be probably really nice if it were space wolves. Awesome. Hi, Kenna Deadly. Welcome back. That's a right proper painting right there. But it in it purple or red or nothings, but truth be told, it's been colorblind since Armageddon. I love it. I need more. Can you do one with in Space Wolf jargon? We're talking Space Wolves. Can you do one in Space Wolf jargon? The orc jargon is it reminds me of London and going to the Cockney land. But not really. More Dick Van Dyke style Cockney than anything else. Ooh. I Irish, but I spent a good part of my life living in London and in Nottingham. And Nottingham, if you aren't familiar, you know, where Warhammer World is, where they're based and all of that. And they kind of developed, you know, back in the 1800s, their own sort of language. And it's called Nottinghamese, and it's kind of like a local tropey thing now. Some people are very, very keen on it. And but it's because of the Irish coming over to work in the mines and in you know other industry and whatnot. They spoke Gaelic, and the people there thought that they were talking about them. To be clear, the Irish probably were, because that's what we do. We're gift gab gossipy little jokers, and so they developed their own language, and it is the funniest thing. I absolutely love it. There are certain words that living there, somebody would say something, and then I'd have to kind of get it translated, because it wasn't the same thing. Like, they don't call sidewalk the sidewalk, they call it the coursey. Or the pavement isn't the pavement, it's the coursey. And depending on where in the world you are. But for no reason other than, you know, they didn't like that other people had come over. And I think it was like the Irish and Eastern Europeans being able to speak their own language, so they developed their own outside of English, which is quite funny to me. I love it. In dark times. My first heart rat. What is a heart rat? I'm Donna. What is a heart rat? I don't know this term. Is it an animal? Is it a Warhammer thing? What are we talking about? Are links to post in chat? I'm not sure. I think you can post links in the chat. I tried to turn off some of the shield mode stuff. It was getting really aggressive towards people last night. Brother Blobicus of the Fenris Company tried to pet one of the storm wolves, but it turns out it was actually one of the wolfen, and things have been really awkward at Chow Hour. I need to learn more about them to understand what a wolfen is, but I think I got the gist. I'm immediately going to stop reading the book I'm reading right now, which is probably the first non-Warhammer book I've read in a minute, and it's boring me. So I will go and download something from... stupid Streamlabs bot. Let me see if I can turn it off. Bear with me. So give me a second. I'm gonna eat. Oh my god, why are pretzels covered in chocolate so good? Why are they so good? It's silliness. They shouldn't be this good. Nothing should taste this ridiculously good. And that is so bad for you. Very, very a lot. There's the bot. Can I link protection? Turned off. Can I save? Okay. I think if it worked, I've turned the link stuff off. So you should be able to throw your link up there. Pretzels and peanut butter. Oh, you're fun. Look at what I have. I have pretzels and peanut butter, and I have pretzels covered in chocolate. And I think if I combine the two of them, it might actually just be complete heaven. So here we go. A very big bite though. Well, that's really good. Wow. Okay, I do recommend. Pretzel with peanut butter, pretzel covered in chocolate. Shove it in your mouth. Be really awkward. It's all good. It's really good. It's basically like if you took a pretzel and like a Reese's peanut butter cup, smashed them in your mouth. That was good. Do recommend. Okay, a heart rat. It's a normal rat, but they form a special bond with their human. Oh, that's cool. When I was a kid, my brother had a rat that was very, very attached. This must not be plugged in. Yeah, he was very attached. Very attached. So that's interesting. I wonder if he had that type or whatnot, but don't know. Fell asleep in your beard. Oh, just becomes part of it. Probably warmth close to your face. I do find that oftentimes animals like being close to face, breath, probably a bit of smells and texture of face, something they recognize. I don't know. I know people don't like rats and mice and things. They've never, like, rodents have never been a like, I don't get bothered by them. I think they're quite fascinating and, you know, certainly all that plague stuff aside, they're very interesting in their history and their evolution and the way that they've developed over millennia. Heart rat. I've now learned a lot of new things tonight. "28 rats we've had. Wow. Interesting. So it's just something that happens. It's a temperament thing more than it is a type of the rat itself. So it doesn't necessarily matter the breed or type or, you know, color. My brother's was an albino specifically. I remember, and, you know, this is 30 years ago. But it was, yeah, just like a beautiful rat, powerful. I don't know that I really appreciated how strong that rat was until it started getting out of its cage, because we had to put weights on top because it would push its way out even though it had a latch and everything. They're also just very smart. We don't give nearly enough credit. There's a reason why we use them and, you know, have used them and abused them in laboratory experiments. Common fancy rat. Interesting. Fancy rat is just a Norwegian brown rat, something that is taken for granted, no doubt, in the forest. We don't have a lot of rats around here. We don't have a rat problem, but we do have a lot of moles, which are I do take issue with, because they dig up the garden and yard quite efficiently. I am impressed with their ability to dig a hole. They could plant some of my trees for me, but I need to get planted this weekend. But they don't seem that nice. They don't want to help me plant the trees. They want to dig them up. Always been a bit of a city dweller in general until this couple last years, and now we do live out far suburbs nearly in the country. And I'm learning a lot about how to keep things from getting destroyed by the forest and fauna that we have chosen to build our house in. It is quite different. Quite different. In the city, all I had to worry about were people were destroying my things. Now I've got deer and moles. And I'm sure other things. Oh, the other one, our community that was built just a few years ago was effectively built, tore down a bunch of really probably stunningly beautiful trees, no doubt. We've put up as many as we can, literally, as we possibly can fit and back into our yard. So the birds are just stunningly everywhere. And they try to nest in our vent of our oven, which is super cool. Better temperament than the Norwegian black rat. They're interesting. Yeah, it does seem like rats are very trainable and amiable, smart creatures that understand the risk reward kind of matrix, which seems very human to us in some ways. But I love seeing animals when they understand it. A lot of sea life, shockingly, always seems really good at that. Dolphins and whales and whatnot. Living on the East Coast, I lived in New York for a bit and definitely saw my share of rats. And yeah, they always just seemed way smarter than you would ever think a rat would be. Able to get into lots of mischief, mind you. I'm not sure what kind of rats those were. Probably brought over, I would assume, from Europe. Don't know where rats are indigenous to. Feel like we've now just shared things across every single border in this world. As we learned from COVID, we share everything. Nothing is able to be kept at bay. Fun fact, they don't have paws, they have hands and feet. Hands and feet. How is that different than a paw? Is it that they have independent fingers and like a palm? Do they not have pads? Like what is the difference? Certainly not opposable thumbs. Don't think. Sometimes I don't know if that I have an opposable thumb. Feel like I need to better train my opposable thumbs. Okay, this is looking quite good. I may actually get through with this bottle. We may make it. We may make it, people. And by we, I mean me. You don't care if I make it. It's fine. There will be another bottle of Proxetti White somewhere down the line. Go in with the smaller bits now. Takes up a lot less. Usually. Yeah, I might even get to doing some of the stippling tonight. And then tomorrow we're gonna do a kill team game. So reset our table. Probably do kill team Tuesday and Wednesday night, which will be fun. Hands and feet, no pads. I do in fact have fingers, I don't have thumbs. Interesting. So effectively, yeah, because I'm trying to think of like, in my head I see a rat skeleton, and yeah, I can see that. Okay, so are they able to, you can see sometimes rats will pick things up. So they actually are, yeah, I would call that a hand. I would call that a hand over a paw. Dr. Rhino Poggers. What is Pog? I'm old. Enlighten me. My son uses the word Pog. What does it mean? Poggers. I'm quite fascinated. I learned quite a bit from having teenagers in these new ages. I appreciate my parents and the things that they didn't understand about me much more. Having my own. I don't think I realized just how weird we were compared to my parents. I don't think we thought they were, crazy, lame. All of the above. It's like a happy reaction, but I'm not the best at explaining it. It just means like, yes, Pogs. See, that's what I said to my son. I was like, Pogs, like the game? Like where you slam the things down on the little... And he was like, what are you talking about? But also, this kid didn't know. We went to a sports ball game, a basketball game, and, they put the celebrities that are there on the overhead thing or whatever, and the lead singer of Death Cab for Cutie came up, and my son, without skipping a beat, goes, who's that? I was like, oh, first of all, you are a musician, child. Like, he plays guitar. He, so, quote, quote, garage band. Like, you don't know who Death Cab is. Like, that's not even super old stuff, right? Like, I feel like parts of the 90s and 2000s are just forgotten by these youngsters. Yes, that's right. Forgotten. Oh, the slammers. And God, it was always devastating when somebody got one of the things that you really liked, like one of your pogs that was just, mint, and somebody won it. Oh, it was devastating. People didn't understand. It was awful. It's always so sad. Yes, those were from my Minnesota days when I did live in Minnesota as a youth. Moved from Ireland to Minnesota. It was crazy and different, and learned all about Pog to get on. I guess that's the feeling and face you make when your best friend surprises you. Oh, there you go. I like that. Like, super excited in a good way, pleasantly surprised. That's what I feel like. I feel like a lot of the terms now have very specific connotations to them. There's a lot of new language that I've had to learn. I'm really quite glad that yeet seems to have run its course, because needless to say, that was a term my son used for a solid year without end. Everything was yeeted. Everything was something about yeet. Yeet was just, I guess, an expletive. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what it means. Or send it. That was another one that I had to look up. the lead singer for Death Cab is also the lead singer for Postal Service. Correct. He is also from the Seattle area, hence why he comes to our sports ball games. This is looking quite good. And then I'm gonna go, once I finish everything, and even on these, I need to do some desecration and dirtying to make them not quite as nice. Speaking of getting old, definitely I will be reading the book. I will be getting into the wolves. Now that I know they have wolves, that will help. I will forgive them all of the other levels of boringness they might have. Have a good night. Enjoy. Oh, it is truly enormous. War hipster. It truly, truly enormous. Oh, I don't want to know that he's a douche. That's really sad. I mean, I feel like a lot of my favorite people are probably kind of douchey. Just because they're, you know, they're famous. I would probably be a little douchey if I were famous. Probably let it get to my head. Check that link I posted. Yes, go back to the link. Oh, it's way up, way up, way up. Here we go. Okay. Instagram. Oh, nice. Yes. This is Gregor the Fell-Handed. Oh, he does have quite a fell hand. That is an epic model. That's amazing. Well done on the paint job. Love the basing. Yeah, that's an amazing model. Oh, those would be a lot of fun to paint. And the hair. The big bushy beard. Okay, I'm in. And yes, this Battle Sanctum is enormous, and I've only really just begun. I am 95% of the way through the Calnath terrain as well. Oh, so much, so much, so much. Yeah, that's good work. Let me see. Oof. Is this, I assume this is you? Give you... Wrong account. Switch accounts. The right one. Where'd our link go? There's the link. Post pretzel talk. Post pretzel talk. There we go. Why does it keep opening? I'll figure it out later. I will give you a follow. Follow friend. Wow. Stroke survivor and colorblind, and you could paint that well. I am impressed, sir. I am impressed. You deserve an absolute round of applause. I can hardly paint, and I am, you know, whatever the opposite of colorblind is. I see too many colors, all the colors. That is really impressive. You should definitely keep painting. Keep painting. Let the community support you. We are here for you, and I would absolutely love to play with your minis. They're that good level. I was really kind of surprised last week we went, or this weekend, it would, we went to one of our local game stores, and we watched, I don't remember if they were playing Kill Team. I think they were actually playing 40K narrative, and yeah, they didn't have fully painted models. It kind of made me sad. Very different than what I would want to do. I wouldn't want to play if the other person hadn't fully painted their models, or, you know, commissioned some or whatever. I think 3 colors at least. Just make it simple. These were like gray army. Make me sad. So we ended up not playing. We weren't planning on playing, but we're probably not going to go to that league just because it seemed probably in for winning versus painting. I'm a little more in it for the painting stuff, for the fun. Tabletop ready. That's what you need. Take a little snack break. Haven't gotten too much overspray, but there's a bit. Might have to repaint some of the red before I do the stippling. Was priming their army in the queue. Oh my god. That is yeah, I mean, I guess more power to them. Get everybody in the queue high. Make some friends that way. I don't know. Seems a bit off. Seems a bit off. Where they did full on bring their own airbrush, or, you know, were they just using a good old prime can and some rubber gloves? Oh, found a whole section I missed. See, this is what I do. This is how I roll. I will always forget a section. I will paint an entire sister's model, be near next to done, ready to like put the final touches on, and then I'll notice, you know, the back of her leg isn't done, or, you know, not even, it's just gray priming. When I didn't play, you were docked points for a great army. I don't think, at least not in Kill Team, they don't dock you points, but you, it depends on the rules of the Kill Team tournament. Some of them do require that you paint, and then if you do have a tabletop ready army, that you automatically get, I think it's generally 2 VP, according to the rules. So they've, you know, at least heavily rewarded it, but it seemed like this kind of weekly narrative tournament hadn't come up with those kind of rules yet, or enforced any kind of rules. And it was 40k, not Kill Team, so I would have expected them to have the more traditional tabletop ready rule, but c'est la vie. 25 years of wargaming and never seen that before. Base coat, paint the eyes, then paint the weapon, boom, 3 colors. Exactly. I mean, base coat, a little bit of highlight, skin, and armor, like, in the weapon at least. Something simple. I don't know. It's not too hard. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, just a little effort. I want to know what I'm looking at. I'm not sure I could tell all of the different types of models unless they were painted and colored. It used to be a rule, apparently, that orc vehicles painted red got extra movement. Extra movement? For being painted a certain color? That's... Why would you ever paint it anything else? I mean, orcs being red is a little strange, I suppose. Oh, vehicle. Right? Orc vehicles. I left an entire section of Magnus the Red's leg unpainted in a video I was making. Yes, exactly. That is me. That is 100% me. You are in safe space. We are in good company here. Yeah. Luckily, I haven't done it whilst making a video quite yet, but I'm on my way, no doubt. No doubt to making a on-camera error. And it'll probably be really visible. Everybody will have to point it out to me because I won't even notice it. And it'll just be some, poor sap in the comment section telling me how dumb I am. Red things go faster. Red, yes. Red things do go faster. Oh, I think we're looking pretty solid. Delta, welcome. Once I have money, I want to make a purple orc army. The sneaky, sneakiest, sneaky purple orcs. One of the people I follow on Instagram had posted, she had done squigs in the Skittles colors. And I do believe that they were called squiddles, which just really made me happy and kind of makes me want to paint some squigs in bright, obnoxious colors. Trying to get Will to paint his Nurglings in bright, obnoxious colors. I think he's trying to go for more cute, but I think cute can also be bright, obnoxious colors. Make them look like little Nurgling children. Yesterday, Combine asked some questions. Yeah, did you try it? Did you end up trying the adding metallic basing to the green? I'm curious to know if our suggestions worked. Did the chat do you right? Okay, I'm gonna add just a bit more on a few little areas and then we'll move on to something else. Wife's Commando's purple. The metallic medium arriving tomorrow. Ah, awesome. Primed with Chaos Black, then covered the metal in some lead belcher. Nice. Yeah, if you mix that metallic medium with whatever green you want to use, if I remember correctly, you're painting salamanders. That should get you the effect. Oh, you tried the contrast after. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a good suggestion too. I don't know that you'll get the same level of detail and kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, sparkle. But definitely. Oh yeah, I bet it looks really good. Weird question. Is Irish hair unruly like Scottish hair? You can look at it. I have to put a lot of product in it. The older I get, the more unruly my hair gets. It is red. This is not my natural red hair color because I have to now dye it because of the age that I am at, and I refuse to get rid of my red hair or my youth. All of the above. But yeah, it's kind of wiry in a way, I guess, is the proper way to put it. So if that's what you mean by unruly, then yes. It also is terrible because normal people, I have a girlfriend who's natural blonde, and so as her, aging process has gone on, she just kind of has these beautiful light gray, like almost, streakies in it, and it's just lovely and beautiful, and mine is just, white. Like straight white. There's no color, no texture. It's basically like strings coming out of my head. So if that's what you mean by unruly, then absolutely we We blame the Vikings and their unruliness causing the unruly hair. Shiny in chrome, you will be in Valhalla. I got the red Scottish hair from my grandparents, which were from Scotland. Yes, and apparently we're dying out. I had read some medical study that said because it's a recessive gene, there are not nearly as many redheads, and we are slowly dying out, so that number is getting less and less. So cheers to the 2%. And, you know, I've got a girlfriend who's not a natural redhead but dyes her hair, so, you know, good on people for wanting to be like the 2%. I would always love to hear a somewhat funny story. Even more so than funny stories, because they're usually even more funny in a different way. So tell us, Delta, your somewhat funny story. We're waiting with bated breath. I will be very impressed if it's a somewhat funny story about your chrome salamanders. Browning, we grew up in the Zappia family, very Italian, and homemade lasagna. Redheads with blue eyes are even more rare. I'm bluish green, but yes, it is very true. Which I think blue eyes are not extraordinarily rare. So I don't know why that combination. Again, I don't fully understand genetics and the recessive things. 2 years ago, I took the 23andMe test. 96.7% Irish. I don't think it gets any more Irish than that. Even as somebody who's from there, I don't think I'm fully 96.7% Irish. Yes, I have had that happen where a bright white hair grows and then I can see it, and I'm that person who plucks it. And I know that my grandmother told me that it would grow two in its place if I did that. So every time I do it, I get a little nervous and worried. But I also know that my grandmother told me a lot of bullshit and talked a lot of crap just to keep me from doing things she didn't want me to do when I was a kid. So I'm assuming, hoping, really desperately hoping that that's not true. But I do have more grey hair than I've ever had. So maybe she was right and she's just wreaking revenge now. 4 generations ago, a fella came here from across the pond and chose Illinois to be a good spot. Yes. I am from County Cork. That is where I grew up. My family's partially from Cork, partially from County Clare, where my name comes from. I am the youngest of 9 children, because that's what we do. As a good Catholic, my parents said, yep, be fruitful and multiply. Got it. Happily. And yeah, there's a lot of people in my family. We are quite prolific. I only have one, which is, I'm the only one that only has one. I have something in the vicinity of 60 nieces and nephews out of the 9. One of my sisters has, I think, a fifth of that though. So all told, it's definitely, yeah, it's interesting. Big families are good. Peebles is a town in Scotland, yes. More Scottish than Irish. I mean, you know, I would say out of all of the tropes and memes, the Scottish and the Irish probably share a bit of the most culturally, in a way. We're similar. We've gone through a lot of the similar, you know, we'll call them internal fighting issues. The Irish, we do quite know how to have a good civil war. Quite adept at it. Silently or very loudly. We both kind of hate the English, which, you know, is always fun. And by hate, I mean lovingly adore, but wish they wouldn't do some of the things they do. and not English people themselves, the government and monarchy and the quote people in power, adore and love the people of England. Yeah, I think my background on my dad's side is quite more mixed. Part English, part French, part German, if I recall correctly. I've never done one of those 23andMe. 36 and no kids, and it's not for lack of trying. Well, if you want to have kids and you can't, I do apologize for that, but I will say I didn't want kids and had one and love him to death, bless his heart. He's now an adult, and formally, well, he graduates high school this year. But, am glad for him and feel like I've done a decent job of figuring out how to become a mum. But I didn't want one, and it is, by and large, the most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life. And that's saying something, because I've done some stuff, been through some shit, and it's a very difficult thing. I honestly wish that both my parents were still alive as I was going through the process of having a teenager, so that I could formally apologize for some of my things that I had, I'm sure, done. I don't remember being a overly aggressively rebellious teenager, but I also know that I was no peach. Everybody does. Also, the French are fun to playfully mock. They are indeed. I mean, at the end of the day, all kind of cultural assumptions and tropes and things have a base of reality in them. Does it mean that we should use them to, treat other people poorly, or truly make fun, or truly mock people, or truly keep people from being able to do what they want to do? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But it does mean that, the Irish tropes about the things that we do, the things we are, they're all very true. We like a good drink. I can name plenty of people in my family who overly drink, myself included, which is why I don't do it so much anymore. It's a thing. We really do like to fight each other for some ungodly reason over religion. We also really, really love potatoes. And I didn't embrace that was an Irish part of me until I really realized it does certainly come from my upbringing. Even though potatoes aren't even from Ireland. We got them from South America, like everyone else. We just fell in love with them quite a lot and figured out ways to make them better. I don't know, but I really love a potato. Like the best things are potatoes, right? Crisps. Hash browns. I don't want to say chips or fries quite yet, but chips and fries. Potato bread. A jacket potato, a baked potato in America. Love it. So good. Mashed potatoes. It is one of my favorite things in the world, and I will eat an entire pot of mashed potatoes by myself. So I have to, when I make them, I cannot make it as a thing that I would have leftovers. Without segmenting it out and putting it into the refrigerator before I sit down to eat the rest of it. Otherwise, I will eat everything. Hello, welcome. Kill Panic. You know who else loves potatoes? Ketchup. That is true. So true. 10 out of 10 food. 100%. Yeah, it might be also India. Did my camera glitch? That is quite possible. This one seems to be doing its thing tonight, in a funny thing. Yeah, mashed potatoes, honestly, oh, tater tots. I've actually, so here's the thing. I didn't really ever have a tater tot until a few years ago. And then I figured out how to make them myself. So I bought a, like, properly not even in the oven. I bought, to make fish and chips, a home fryer, not an air fryer, a proper, put a bunch of oil in a vat and, be Irish, be part of the Isles. And then I started making fries, and one of the kids was like, you should try and make tater tots. They're glorious. Homemade tater tots are the best thing in the world. I'll put different seasonings on them, mix them up. Found the best way to do that. Absolutely one of my favorites. Love it. No bad way to make a potato. I will say I went to a Irish pub that had something that they called Irish nachos, which was effectively just potato skins with nacho toppings on it. That, whilst maybe a tiny bit offensive in the name, was Irish nachos. This is now a thing in my life. I absolutely love it. Yes. Oh, tater tots. Also, thank you for the follow, Kilpanic. Tater tots go with everything. Like, I'm a fry sauce or honey mustard, traditional ketchup kind of person when it comes to chips or home fries or any kind of fry. But when it comes to tots, they go with all kinds of stuff. Like, this is where the ranch dressing thing seems to kick in. Actually, I prefer this like chipotle mayo sauce. Oh, it's so good. My son got me for Christmas. I'm now in love with it. It's basically just heaven and a little spicy, as all food should be. Speaking of food, give myself a touch of sustenance. I'm gonna run 2 inches over there and grab a different paint. Give me a moment. This table is massive that I'm sitting at, and it still isn't big enough to hold all of our stuff. Salted malt vinegar with normal fries. Oh, that's very good. Oh, that might be French. That's definitely something that we do. We did quite a bit growing up. I can't find a good salted malt vinegar that I like that isn't just the kind of standard. Although I did just find, I'm very excited, there's a European grocery store right next to my Warhammer store that we went to last night. So I'm now going to hopefully be able to find some things from home. Yeah, I don't know if it's English or it might be French. I feel like there's a bit of war on who owns some things, certainly. It's kind of one of the funniest things about, you'll see this a lot in Ireland. You'll see it a lot in England as well, where it will be the oldest pub in England. There's like 17 of them, right? Different people want to claim that their pub is the oldest pub in England. There's one in Nottingham that I think is probably, I would say, about as close as it would really get to being maybe true. It's built into the side of a cave. It's called like Ye Old English Pub or something silly like that. But that is quite a stunning place to sit down, because there are some of the tables that are actually inset and there's just a cave behind you. Nottingham, if you're not familiar, is like a pretty big mining community and around there. And so that was one of my favorite places to go. Just very interesting and fascinating. Okay, we'll see how this stippling works. I'm trying to just use up some extra bits, and I've got this stuff from the pick and pull. Heinz malt vinegar. Yeah. London pub. Yeah. One way to eat potatoes, fresh cheese curds and gravy on fries. Is that poutine? I think that's is that the poutine? They do it a lot in Canada as well. Yeah. Yeah, that is very good. It is also incredibly rich. I cannot eat very much of poutine. It's very, very good though. I mean, potatoes, cheese, gravy, like load me up. Load me up. I would die happy. Sometimes I don't write down my painting recipes, and sometimes I wish I had because I don't recall how I did these. Blame Canada. Poutine. It's very tasty, very hearty. You have to have nothing on your stomach for a week, I think, to get through a whole thing of poutine. Okay, there we go. I think that'll get me dark enough. As you can tell, I really do next to no planning when I paint. If I have a, you know, squad of models, I'll paint one and then do the rest to kind of test things out. But on stuff like this, I just kind of go for it. Probably not always wise, given this is a non-insignificantly expensive model, but who cares? It'll be fine, I can always paint over it. Yeah, that'll work. Part I'm worried about is getting into there. Might have to use a different one. Poutine. I'm not poutine purist. That does sound like poutine pure from a food truck in West Quebec. You ever heard of had a stubborn model that didn't want to put itself together correctly? Yes. Have you ever put together a sister's model? They are much stubborn, much like the sisters themselves. Sometimes they don't want to go together correctly. Also, I found the blood letters, putting them together, like actually the gluing part wasn't the problem, but I friggin' swear to you, it was like miserable to get rid of all of the lines, the mold lines. It was the hardest thing I've ever done because they have so many little bits and pieces on them, and the mold lines would be like right over the top of the face or just around a horn that's got a bunch of bits hanging off of it. Yeah, is the worst. Is the absolute worst. Got a stubborn model that didn't want to put itself together correctly. I keep a number of large mallets under my desk. What happens with the mallet? Do you bang on it? Do you just smash it to bits and be done with it? I think if I hit some of these things, yes. No issues putting together your sisters? Well, you're better at this than me. See, the Pathfinders, so it was mostly the Novatates, and I think they're just a little bit of a different model set than the sisters, the regular sisters of battle, the big sisses. They seem to be a little different. The other one I have a consistent issue with is the Hedonites. The Hedonites and the Demonettes of Slaanesh, because they do not have any sort of ridges or edges or whatnot when it comes to the arms. And so you're putting, effectively flat on flat, which does not like to go together, does not like to stay. And then when you start dry brushing, and the arms just start flying off. Once I use the mallet, I know for long. I like the mallet effect. That's the spirit, no model, no problem. Oh god, I love it. Can I ask a dumb question? Are novatates a kind of potato? No. I might start calling my potatoes novatates. Novatates are a sisters squad that is specific to Kill Team. It came with the Calnath version. You can buy them. It's I call them baby murder nuns. They're basically young sisters of battle that haven't quite gotten their armor yet. So they're kind of, cute and squishy. But they are really, really diverse from what they carry. There's a sister superior that, is a proper sister. But then the rest of them, are baby nuns. They have... I don't think there is a single sister in the normal ecclesiarchy sets that have the something like a condemner stake thrower, but that's one of my favorite weapons in the Novatate bottle. They're super, super fun. It's right in the name though. Tates, got it. I'm a little slow. Yes, Novatatos. Novatatos. That might be what I name my Kill Team. Thank you. You've birthed something new. It'll be the Order of the Sister of Tato. We shall make this happen. To get Canoness and Sister Superiors can have Condemners. Oh, that's good to know. I'll have to look that up. I have many of those to be putting together. It's getting real. I'm getting out the... That's gotta be real annoying in the mic, sorry. Apologies. Have a good night. Sleep well, Wolf. Thanks for joining. Stay on it. Keep painting wolves. Come back and join us anytime. Oh yes, prime thy intercessors. Prime thy intercessors. Get them ready. Oh, I use compressed air for everything possible. Like, anything I can compress air, I will compress. Works well if you've got a chill, something you need chilled. Little top tip there. Alright, now we're gonna lighten her up. Okay, I will let you know, Wolf, when I start my wolves. I am gonna go read that book, start it tonight. I will get on it. I will learn about the wolves. I will start painting the wolves. And they will be blue. They will be blue. Will be blue wolves. Ooh, yeah, there's nothing like having too much humidity in the air to really mess up your painting process. That is a pain in the butt, and not something that you can readily change, unfortunately. Funnily enough, Mother Nature does her own thing and doesn't care whether you're painting or not. Crazy concept, Mother Nature. question. Where do you get those gray sponges? Well, they are from Pick and Pull. It is literally just a pick and pull that I'm repurposing to use to stipple on paint to make it look as though it is marble flooring, or not marble, maybe marble, I don't know, some kind of stone flooring. Yeah, we got some pick and pull packages a couple months ago, took all the bits and kept all the things. I am a hoarder. That is what I am using from my hoarder collection. And it works like a charm. Sometimes you do have to stop using the one if it gets oversaturated though, because I don't know, it is a little weird how they pick up the paint. It's not quite like a normal sponge, because they're, I think, a little more plastic than anything natural. Hoarder was my favorite character from Game of Thrones. I didn't get into Game of Thrones. Was he actually a hoarder? Or was it just a name? I feel like that should be a meme. Make it a meme. Make him an actual hoarder. It'd be more fun that way. I actually got this idea for the stippling from a set that I saw at our local game store. I think they had actually done them in blue, funnily enough. But I decided to go with red because sisters and my crazy... No, now I'm too embarrassed to explain. That's fair. No need to explain. I don't know what you're talking about. No need to be embarrassed. Everyone else will forgive you. It's a safe place here. Okay. Well, I can now start using my favorite color, the bronze. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna chuck these because there's no purpose for them anymore. They've lived their long life. Okay, play on words. I got it. You're all good. It's not embarrassing. It's, I just don't know. Nothing to be embarrassed over. Oh my goodness. But me being embarrassed that I cannot put this thing down. This is something to be embarrassed over. Bloody hell. I think it's not quite wet enough, but... Stay! I've been told that I'm too condescending. Oh, that's kind of mean to say to somebody. It's kind of condescending to tell somebody that they're too condescending. Doesn't seem like you talk down to people. But I don't know you. But so far, been here 2 nights. Seems fine. What do I want to use? What do I want? Oh, it's right here. See, I do this. I split my stuff up, and then I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Oh, there's so much on this model. Oh my god, this train is huge. Oh, this is the part where I start to regret all of my choices. All of my choices. Oh boy. Okay. Deep cleansing breath and start. There's so much detail on this terrain. It is going to take me probably forever, this side of forever, to do this. Oh my gosh. Well, this is apparently what we're painting for the next 3 to 30 years. I think I'm gonna go with a different brush. I'm going to try and streamline this a tiny bit. Where is the brush I want? There she is. We'll try this. See if this gives us a little, yeah. It's one of the things that I'm always never quite good at, is just picking the right brush the first time. Basically what I got, I am a little intimidated by like a 3/4 inch brush size, but I did get a flat, and it will take me more time, but I feel like I can control it more. Some of the bigger brushes, I feel like I lose dexterity, and I don't know if that's just me and I can't handle my brush properly, but I feel like I miss edges and overshoot an edge if my brush is a little too big. This one will work. This is much better. This is what I use to do most edging. It's what I do to do my black edging on all of my all of my round bases, models and things. But yes, flat brush was the right way to go. I don't know what I was thinking. I swear, every time I start, because I have my favorite brushes, right? You've got those ones that are just your general go-to, and love them, and things, you know, works for 20% of what you want to do, but you just love them so much you try at first. Is that just me? Other people are smarter, know what brush to use the first time, don't have favorite brushes. At least I haven't named my brushes yet. I have named all of my sisters. They have names printed on their bases. I've used a paint pen to actually write them on there. It's kind of sad when they die because they all have names, and I make sure to announce their death and that they are next to the emperor. They're now at the throne. It's really probably very annoying for anyone who plays with me. But, you know, it's how I roll. It's how I roll. Yes, it's like you get to know the brush. The brush becomes one with you. The brush becomes one. It is a part of you. It is the means to which you do the things. It knows what you need to be doing. It knows where that lip is, what the edge is, how to paint specifically around that certain type of angle. That is the best. Yeah, that's why I have 3 brushes that I do 90% of my painting with, even if they're not the right size, texture, shape. Still do so much with those 3 brushes. I will probably cry when those brushes finally kick the bucket, but I do take quite good care of my brushes for the most part. I also did just get some of the brush saver or whatever it's called from Green Stuff World for a couple of brushes that are getting a bit haggard. I haven't tried it yet. I need to do that. Might make a video of it just to see if it actually works. Cannot throw out throwing out a brush is like throwing out a friend. Just, it's hard. Doesn't matter how toxic they are. You just gotta keep them around. They might change. There might be a moment in time when you need that weird brush with the funny extra end on it, or where the crimp has come off and, you know, every 3rd stroke the whole head falls off. There might be a purpose for that one day. There might be a cure for that brush disease. Decades. How many brushes does one have when they have been keeping them for decades? Are we talking tens of brushes? Hundreds of brushes? Thousands of brushes? Yes, friends, friends and brushes. Never talk to you, eventually fail you. Sounds accurate. Sounds accurate. Also sounds like maybe you need to find some new friends. Brushes, I don't think you can get any different. It's only tens of brushes. Okay. Well, that's still. I feel like I have tens of brushes and I've only been doing this for 18 months. I think it just took me a minute to figure out what kind of brushes I wanted. And then I went a little overboard in the desperation of trying to find tiny brushes because I wanted to do eyes, I wanted to be better at it, and so I ended up finding, these tiny brushes that are 5.0, 6.0, tiny little brushes. It didn't make any difference. Just made me. I don't know. Are you playing Debbie Downer? I thought that was funny. Maybe it's my Irish humor. You're in good spirits, not Debbie Downers. It was funny. It was funny. You should find some new friends though. Not all friends let you down. You have us. We're friends now. Oh my goodness. Well, I luckily do have another bottle of the bronze metallic pro acryl, good stuff. Big fan. Yeah, I would say out of all of the metallics, I mostly use pro acryl. I don't know that I use, except a couple of the dry from Citadel, but otherwise I think they're all pro acryl. Probably dumb question. There are no dumb questions. Can I ask what initially drew you into painting miniatures? Sure. So my partner, my husband, he has been painting Warhammer for years and years, and during the pandemic, he would kind of go off into his office and would paint and would come out with a whole set of miniatures that we would then play a board game with, right? Like he had painted a whole set of Conan the board game, and it was super, I don't know, like fascinating to me that you could put these things together, and play with your own work of art. Like I've been a painter since I was really young, but I don't really want to have my own paint on the walls, and I'm not good enough to sell it. And so, like, I think we have one. Oh, no worries, Delta. I'll wait until you're back to answer your question. I have one good, painting that I did on our walls. Everything else is, bought from somebody else, or Warhammer art. And so I liked the concept and I liked the idea. And then I started reading some of the Danny Ware sisters books. I was looking for something new to read, and Will kind of was like, hey, you could think about reading these, and they were really well written. They were really good, and I fell in love with the lore and the concept and the idea, and so I ended up reading the whole Sisters Codex, which has so much of the lore, and I loved the idea of, playing with my own minis. And so I, like, early on in the pandemic, my son and Will and I had sat down and, I painted like a little unicorn or whatever. And it was fun and it was interesting, and, I wasn't that good at it. but you know, that unicorn sat on a thing. And then I'd gotten a couple of little other models just to, you know, spend some time with my partner while he was I can't speak, you know, set off in his office and doing this. And or he would bring stuff down to the, you know, kitchen table or down to a table in our game room, and I would paint other stuff. And then I ended up going to a board game store with my son who wanted to get some Magic the Gathering cards or whatever. And I saw all of this Warhammer stuff there. And so I found a Sisters Battle set. And then I saw the Saint Celestian set, which is Saint Celestian, this really cool model who's, you know, kind of flying, and her two sacrosancts, seraphim next to her. And so I bought both of those, and I think I bought one other model. I went hard deep in, and it was really the lore, the story, having these models that I was able to then start using. And once we started actually playing Kill Team, and these are like, it's my work of art on the table, it's just super fun. And now I've got, you know, 8,000 points worth of sisters, and probably something in the vicinity of 3,000 points of Sisters of Silence and Adeptus Custodes, and a good couple thousand in the Chaos, you know, Bloodletters, and some of the Slanesh stuff. It was the lore first, and then the concept of using my own stuff to paint, or my own painted stuff to play, that really like gave it a purpose. And now I'm as addicted as the rest of you, and I have to frequently stop myself from adding to the things I have yet to paint, like the fact that I've got 3 different people carrier type things, and I don't actually play Warhammer, I only play Kill Team, which you can't use any of the whatever you call them. It's starting to get late, it must be almost 9. Tanks, the tank people. I have 3 of these in various states of paint, and I don't know that I'll ever actually use them. Yeah, you're welcome. It is really satisfying, and I think it's also very satisfying to do it and, you know, go somewhere. Like, I'm excited to go and see what other people have painted. This will be my first Warhammer tournament, which is just fun, and it seems like the community is there. A few months back, kind of getting in to this kind of stuff, like streaming and being a part of it. It was just kind of going on Instagram and wanting to post some stuff, and now it really does feel like there's a big community aspect that I can get involved in, which is also really, really cool. I always joke with my partner, because he, you know, like my handle says, like, unlikely gamer. I'm not much of a gamer in general, wasn't before. Never really picked up a game controller on a PS whatever, or, you know, Xbox, even though my son had one. Never really played. So unlikely gamer. I'm a bit more of a little bit of a girly girl, I suppose, in some ways, and, you know, like cooking and expressing myself through cooking, and it's like my love language to cook my family meals and things. And so I was more of a geek in some other ways. Like, I geek out on music. I have, you know, a lot of guitars, and, you know, nice, good, expensive guitars, and I have, you know, a vast records collection and things like that. But also on the other side of that, like, I am a huge X-Files nerd, like extreme X-Files nerd. I have seen every single episode in all of the movies multiple times. And so my geekiness, and I geek out on medicine and that side of things. So cars, I love cars, and I geek out on, I'm a petrol head. So I think this was just a natural way for me to do something that worked for the time and the space and the place that I was in. I like it because it's very detailed as well. There's not a lot of things in the world that get me really focused on something the way that painting does. Whoa, that's a big raid party. Welcome, raiders. Welcome, welcome. Hey, whoa, much appreciated. Welcome in. Big raid, thank you. Yeah, I love painting. I think it's super fun. It's super community focused. You can sit here and have a conversation while doing it with people across the world. Like, what more could I love? Big, large, large. Love it, love it. Thank you guys so much. Welcome, raiders. Enjoy. We are painting some terrain tonight. I am finally done dry brushing. I am now to the point where I am using what is going to amount to a whole bottle of bronze to add in some detail. Cars and painting in games. Gaslands. I've never heard of it. Can you tell me more about Gaslands? Is it a board game? Is it a video game? Tell me more. Tell me more. I do like cars. We're big car heads. I got my partner into track racing. I've been into track racing for many, many years, so that's been fun to see him enjoy one of my hobbies and me, conversely, getting into Warhammer and enjoying one of his hobbies. It's quite nice as a couple to find those things you can do together. Hello, Raiders. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much for joining. We are painting the Sisters Bastion Basilica. And we are having a great time and a good conversation. Join in the conversation. I am starting to get a bit sleepy. Gaslands is an indie miniatures racing game that you can play with modified Hot Wheels cars. Wow, this sounds super fun. Gaslands. Okay, Gaslands. I'm gonna write that down. Give me a minute. Gaslands. Okay, so it's a miniatures game, tabletop racing game. How do you race, and are they actually Hot Wheels cars? Because I could totally raid my son's old set if I can modify them. You kit bash cars. Interesting. I am fascinated by the entire concept. Let's see. Why Face ID? Gaslands. Okay. I am definitely going to look this up after the fact. Haven't played either, but I think it's very cool. Gonna put a gene sealer on a 1968 Camaro, and it's like Mad Max in the Fury Road. Yes, that sounds perfect. I think that there are ways to do that with your car, be it a Hot Wheel or a real one. Do you play Delta? Do you play Gaslands? I'm very curious more about this. It sounds like you can modify whatever you want, change things, actually use whatever car you have. What is the setup? What is the board? How are you racing? Is it kind of Mad Maxy? Are you devastatingly destroying these cars? What is... My son does robotics, and the number one question that gets asked when I tell people that he does robotics is they ask, is it like, where they bash each other? Is it, I forget what that show was called. I don't know if that show's still on. Robot Wars or something like that. But it is not. It is unfortunately not. They get dinged if they try and battle too much. I guess as the loser does not have their cars put in liquid nitrogen and hit with a hammer. Battle bots. Yes, thank you, Contraman. Much appreciated. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I would imagine that the cars probably don't seem to make it. You don't physically damage it. It's a dice game. Okay. So you can basically do whatever you want, make the car model kind of crazy, and then it's just a dice game. So do you add weapons to the car? Or are you just strictly racing, or is it kind of like you race to do certain things, or are you racing around a track? I'm very curious. I'm gonna have to look all this up. Yes, battle bots is exactly what I was talking about. Um, that is where they, attach weapons or chainsaws or, saw arms, various crazy stuff onto a robot and then to the death, I believe, or close to the death. Though sometimes, even in the high school robotics, there are what I would call some aggressive handling that has led to some pretty extreme stuff in the way of knocking out some competitors. Yes, you get to add weapons and armor and stuff. You get points to modify basic chassis. Oh, okay. So it is, kind of like Warhammer, but it sounds like you can go outside of the realm of what is really available. I'm super curious. This sounds interesting. I don't know if I'd like playing it, but I would definitely make some of the models. Hammers. Put a hammer on there. Lovely. Oh my gosh, there's so much on this terrain. It's gonna be never ending. This is all my stream is gonna be forever. I'm never gonna be able to paint anything else. I'm gonna be covered in metallic paint like a Bond girl by the end of this stream. Whew. No, did I answer the question about primers? I didn't. We got raided and I got distracted. The question about primers was, going back to it, what effect does the primer have on the rest of the project? Can you elaborate about, like, I mean, it makes the plastic is, unable to be painted upon without a primer, so that's the major piece. You can also prime in a color that you want to either use within your color scheme. You can prime in a color and do highlights, basically adding effect so that when you do go in with whatever color, it's going to give you an automatic highlight or an automatic shadow. It can have varying effects on what happens just based on how you prime, what you prime, how many different colors or functions you're going to do within your priming. If that's what you're talking about, then that's the best answer I said. If I use a light primer... Yeah, yep, exactly. So, but what I will do, like, say for my sisters, I mean, you can actually see on these models, I've done a black underneath, so the base primer is black, and then I do a gray over the top, and so they're, you kind of see, come on. You can see up and under it that there's still a lot of black where I want it to look darker. I want there to be shadows in there. But the rest of the color of the model is going to be blues, lighter, purple, things to that effect. So I didn't want it to all be black. Where if you're doing Death Guard, you can kind of start with a, for lack of a better way to put it, kind of sallow green color. Because the rest of the greens will really merge well with that, and you can use it as, for lack of a better way to put it, and I don't know what the technical terms here would be, it sounds like Hey Woe is a much better painter and probably has more of the technical terms here, but about kind of this concept of, like, it acts as a part of the paint palette versus working against it or just being a black or a gray or a dark. Yeah. You are not. Well, you sound like you know what you're talking about. Hey, whoa. So keep it up. Half of it is all just purely about making it up. And I don't think you have to necessarily paint the black underneath, or whatever. I'm kind of the opinion, if you can't see it when it's sitting on the table, does it really exist? I'm not going for a golden demon. I don't necessarily need to be crazy. Though sometimes, again, I do get a little overzealous when it comes to some models, especially things like terrain where you do end up seeing all the edges one way or another, because you're going to pick things up and whatnot, but I don't know. In the hobby, we call that method zenithal prime. Okay, when you prime black under for shadows and white on top, it's called zenithal highlighting. See, technical terms. We have the smarties. We have the smarties on board. Zenithal. I had no idea. I bet Will probably knew, but he's not here to say yes or no, so we're going to say we learned something new. If you don't paint the underparts, you can paint twice as fast. Yes. Don't bother priming if you're not going to paint it. That works. Oh my god, these are still so good. Doesn't matter how many I eat, every single one is like heaven. Glazing. The latest tank doesn't even have an underside? I had no idea. That's pretty funny. Makes sense because, oh yes, I'm painting not only the undersides, but all of the fleshy bits and brass bits undersides because I have psychological problems, and if I can see it, I will pick up this model and I will know that I didn't do it right. Oh, Moon Clan. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Hey Wo. Sounds like you're famous. Podcast famous. That sounds funny. Painting bottoms. Now we're just getting sleepy. Sleepy, tired, and silly. Maybe I'm getting high off the fumes from all of the paint. Oh, Age of Sigmar resource. Okay, so I'm gonna have to look up your stuff. I definitely need to understand Age of Sigmar more, because I've been getting into painting more of that stuff, and I want to learn to play, want to learn more about the lore. I'm fascinated by the Blizzbarb archers, so I started painting those. Very, very excited. I am in the presence of greatness. I love it. I appreciate when greatness shows up to my random stuff. It makes me feel like a little less random. Painted the inside of a mangler squigmouth for like 40 minutes. Yeah, you gotta paint the inside of a mouth. Like, you're still gonna, you're gonna know. You're gonna know. Like, nobody else has to know. You're gonna know. That's most important. You're the one playing with it. Nobody else will know it ever had the inside of something. I mean, I almost painted the inside of the tank. Niche internet micro celebrity. That is the best kind of celebrity to be. It sounds really awful to be a real celebrity. Like, then you've got, can you imagine being somebody who gets made fun of at the Oscars every year? Like, that would just be horrible. I don't know if I could, my reputation couldn't take it. My ego would have a hard time. Being slightly niche internet famous just means that you have the best kind of people, the people who really know and understand what you do, to like you. It's the best kind of famous to be. Hey, wow. Best kind. Yes, thoughts and prayers to the rich and famous. I mean, can you have the money without all of the actual fame? That's what I want. I want to be rich without the fame. I want the money. I want to be somebody who just, makes a piece of software and then sells it off to somebody else who can be the face of it. Hire the CEO, hire the brain trust. Famous in certain circles. Super easy to be born famous. Or super easy to be born rich. Not famous. Yes, well, that is easy. Just takes luck. I, however, was not that level of lucky. Quite the opposite. Again, with the 9 children, there wasn't a lot of excess riches to go around. Oh my goodness. I'm not even like maybe a 15% through this process. And that's only if you're talking about how much is actually painted. This is going to look good though, right? We're gonna focus on how great it's gonna be to play with this thing. Excess riches sounds like something really difficult to deal with. I'd volunteer to help with that. Yeah? Take some off their hands. Take some of the wealth off their hands. Again, I don't know if that's how it works, but I suppose you could probably get fairly wealthy being somebody who did wealth management for the rich and famous. Those people are probably quite wealthy, assuming they take a percentage. So you just have to find somebody who you know will be one day rich and famous, and then go forward. About to get raided. Oh, got raided. How did you know? How did you know? Welcome, Box to Tabletop. Welcome, welcome. Good night, Meat Robot. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Join us next time. Make sure to come back when we're painting something blue, actually. Let's paint something blue together. You're a psycher, to be honest. Okay, alright. Just finding people who will be rich and famous. Just the... Awesome. Hello, Box to Tabletop. Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here. Thanks for raiding. Thanks for bringing folk. We are painting terrain. We're talking about being rich. Small but mighty. Small but mighty crew. Thank you so much, Stone Driver, for the follow. Much appreciated, mate. There's no such thing as small. That's what you were doing? What were you painting? What specific type of terrain were you painting? I am in Sister's Bastion zone in here. We've done a bit. We've been doing this for days. Days on end. Days on on end. It may never end. More Fallout Wasteland. Oh, that's good. That's good. That can be fun. That can be fun. You can definitely have a bit of differentiation when you create something like that. I feel like these all just end up looking a bit the same. Wasteland stuff's a bit more, you can differentiate yourself. Lots of dirt and rust. Lots of dirt and rust. Yes. I need to do some dirt and rust on these, though. That's going to be my last step, and I'm going to do all of this and the Calnath stuff together and just throw a bunch of dirt at it, really. Throw a large swath of dirt. Oh my goodness. Everyone is going to Adepticon but you. I'm not going to Adepticon. So not everyone. You and I can be losers together, not going to Adepticon. We'll start our own club. Five days in a row streaming Adepticon Streamathon. Nice. I am doing my own, not streamathon, but road to Warhammer Grand Tournament in Tacoma here. Be my first Warhammer tournament, and so a lot of what I'm doing is either prep for that, or when my partner paints, he's doing all of his prep as well. We're doing games so that I cannot be a complete idiot and make everybody hate me. No, I'm not talking about Adepticon. This is the Warhammer Grand Tournament in Tacoma, Washington. It's the only one on the West Coast this year, I think. They're super fun. I'm excited. I have to say, oh, thank you for the follow, Waldos. Much appreciated. I have to say, I'm a little bit nervous about going to my first real competition. I've only been playing since last fall, and have been painting since about 18 months ago. And so I'm a little nervous. I want to go and do some local game tournaments and get more comfortable playing with others and get more comfortable playing other armies. Because I feel like if I don't understand the army I'm playing against, I get frustrated, or like internally frustrated, because there's so much difference. So I am painting up a couple of different armies to start learning, because my partner only plays with the Death Guard right now. I'm going to have him. He's also going to play the Kroot, the Tau. The Kroot is just so goofy. I don't know if anybody plays with Kroot. They're so cute, though. And we're talking about space wolves, or and how they're kind of, space Vikings. And I feel like the Kroot are space pirates. They're so cute. They're just the most weird little things. I absolutely adore them. So it'll be interesting to play against those. They have some interesting rules. Death Guard has a ton of rules, so that's been a good one to learn the other side. And then I play Sisters Novitates, but I'm also putting together a Talons of the Emperor Adeptus Custodes Sisters of Silence, which will be fun. Kroot are unlikely to be run competitively. Yeah, I don't think he's going to run them competitively. I think it's just going to be us playing together. Just, again, for fun, to get something a little different. Crisis suits. Yeah. the Tau, there's the Tau Pathfinders that came with the Calnath set. I think those might be interesting to try for the Tau. He's got an older Tau army that I think is what he'll actually use. And then I also have this whole army of hedonites and tournaments ban fun. Oh, well, maybe I won't. Honestly, so Will was going to do the 40K tournament and I was going to do Kill Team, and he decided to not do 40K because it was 8 games, I think. Like, that's a lot. The Kill Team is 5 games, which is over 2 days. That seems like a lot. And 8 games over 3 days, just that's intense. Like, that's a lot of playing. So he decided to do Kill Team instead. Yeah, Kill Team is intense. 40K each year is supposed to be limited by mobility and their terminators. Oh, Death Guard? Yeah, I don't know a lot. I haven't ever played 40K yet. I've only played Kill Team, so I'm not sure about all the Death Guard rules. But it does feel we watched oh, I don't remember what stream played Death Guard against Orc, and it was, yeah, it was very rules heavy. Very seemed like there was a lot of special things that the Death Guard get. Like even on Kill Team, it drives me mental. The the rule that they can re-roll all of their hits. So basically, they can roll, and if they get, I think it's a crit or above, or is it crit or 5 and above, they don't get that wound. Like, that's bananas. That makes my stupid little faith dice seem like nothing. Being able to re-roll, you know, whether something is a hit at all. I don't know. It's a lot of rules. Disgustingly resilient is that one. 40K has a ton of different things, but each one on its own is not so complicated. Yeah, again, I feel like I'll start with a small sister army, and I think that will be okay for me to just kind of, again, play between us or play with a small group at one of our local game stores. Something that's more, I don't know, maybe do the idea. Y'all were talking about it last night. Yes, you need the endurance of an actual space marine to compete in 40K. You need 2 hearts that keep pumping everything going. Yeah, y'all were talking about a game style that allowed you to start with a smaller army and then grow over time playing with the same people. It was a certain style. I really liked that concept. It sounds kind of like a narrative version. That seems kind of my speed. Something where I don't have to start off the bat with, you know, all 3,000 points or something. Crusade, yeah, that's what it is. Yep, Crusade, exactly. And it basically starts with it's effectively a combat patrol. Kill Panic, like you could play with just the pieces of a combat patrol. And then slowly over time, as you play with the same people, you're growing your army. I think that seems really cool. Warhammer D&D style. There is Warhammer D&D. Oh gosh, my book is on the other side of this table. What is it called? Oh, I've forgotten it. Actually, I think that one's downstairs now. Does anybody remember what the Warhammer role-playing game is called? I have one of the books, because our kids love D&D, and I wanted to do one. Yeah, there is a 40K, I forget what it's called. Oh yeah, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar one is Soulbound. Rogue Trader. No, let me see. I shall go through my email. I bought it solely based on the fact that it had a sister on the cover, and then I realized when I got it that it was a D&D book, and then got another. 40K. Let's see if it works. Wrath and Glory. So Wrath and Glory, there's quite a few books, and they are D&D role playing. So definitely look those up. The stories are quite good. It's not as in depth of instructions on everything as some of the D&D books are. So you will have to add some of your own flair for sure. And I think that there's probably a core book that I'm missing because it was, you kind of have to develop your characters, and I don't know how that process works. So we haven't run one of the games yet. But I will do that for our kids, even though they're grown ass adults now. They still ask for D&D games, so we're doing something right. But yeah, Wrath and Glory, and they're really good art too. There's a lot of story there, so if you like the lore, I do suggest getting into them just for that part. I'm a sucker for Warhammer art. I just bought what will be on this side of us, one of the giant sisters paintings, or it's actually a sketch that's printed on canvas. We'll have that mounted and framed. Super excited. If you haven't spent all of your money on miniatures, there's a great way to get even less money in your bank and be less plausibly rich by going to warhammerart.com, I believe is what it is, and spending it all on other Warhammer stuff. It's some of the art from Warhammer themselves, others of it is artist sanctioned by them. There's some really good stuff in there. Sisters are unfortunate because in a competitive environment, they are balanced around melee units and running the Order of the Bloody Rose. If you run them how they are in lore, they are much worse. That's fair. Yeah, I do have all of the Order of the Bloody Rose for that specific reason, because when I was looking at what options, I did see that was definitely where you would want to go if you were going to run a Sisters Army ever. Oh, thank you so much, Gungrave. Much appreciated for the follow. Very hearts and loves to all the followers. You guys are awesome. This has been great the last few days. Yeah, I think it's a little different in Kill Team. You don't pick, you can pick for the fun and for the story, whatever faction you want, but it's not a necessity, and none of the rules change around what faction or order you're in. I kind of picked the order based on what I wanted to paint, and how I wanted them to look. But I'm actually going to repaint my entire set. I still haven't decided if I want to run the set that I'm doing right now. I effectively took one of everything in the Novitate kill team that I have, so I don't have any militants. I have a Condemner, a Purgatus, 2 Purgatuses. That's the only thing I have double of. My Superior, the Pronatus, Hospitaller. Oh, I'm forgetting all of the names. The Condemner, did I say that one already? Basically, I have one of everything beside. I have 0 militants, and then I have the one that has the broadcaster instead of the other one that kind of has similar to the broadcaster. There's 2 that seem very close to me. But now that I've been playing, I have 3 of the boxes because I am mentally ill, and I have 3 of the boxes that I need to put together. And I might just put them together, try and run them, and see what I want to do before I put together my full army for the tournament, just to see what works best. I don't know that I'd ever do militants. They seem a little boring. I like them to have a backstory. I wish you could run multiple penitents, because I do love myself an Eviscerator Blade. They make me happy. They really do just destroy everything in their wake. Oh, thanks. Have a good sleep. Don't worry. We'll be here. We're always here. I much appreciate it. Sleep well. Get some rest. We'll talk soon. Bye. Yeah, no, I think Kill Team is way more balanced on a lot of the different versions in general. It seems like even the Sisters of Silence and Custodes team I'm putting together, when I looked at putting together one for 40K, it was madness trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. It's way more straightforward for sure. And the rules don't seem to overly favor one faction. Like, again, yes, the Sisters, the Novitates have the Faith dice, but, you know, Death Guard has their weird rolls or their filth sensor and things that, you know, contagion, that kind of even the playing field, which is interesting. I know there's a lot of that in 40K, but in 40K, again, it seems like not all of the armies get those benefits. I don't know. Because, like, I do want to try running a full Bloodletters army. Hi, Midwest. Welcome back. How are you? Yeah, I do want to try running a full Bloodletters army because I think it'll be interesting to see just if you can kind of like go in and mow a bunch of like the Poxwalkers down, playing against Will's Death Guard army. I think that would be interesting. It might work, it might not. I don't know. The Bloodletters are fascinating to me. Ooh, painting your Black Templar veteran. Nice. Nice, nice. We do love the Black Templars. I just finished the I don't remember the name of it. The Iron something. The fifth book in the Dawn of Fire series, and Black Templars are in that. So I've learned a lot about the Black Templars. I've also learned that they are almost as religiously fanatical as the Sisters in some ways, which is very interesting. I'm all in on the lore. All in on the lore. I want to learn more. I do want to learn more. If anybody has a recommendation to learn more about the Sisters of Silence, that is one that I cannot seem to find much reading outside of, you know, just lore reading. But I want to learn more about those because that seems like a really fascinating tale. Like how they were, like, how do we discover that a Null Maiden existed? How did they get onto the black ships? Like, what was this process? What does that look like? Do they work, how do they work so well with the Adeptus Custodes, and what is that relationship? What did it look like before everything happened after the Horus Heresy? And there's a lot of really cool stuff there. I just can't find a lot written about it. So I don't know if that's something that they'll just continue to work on that narrative, or if there is something that I'm missing where that narrative is told. Iron Warriors? Let me see. I can look at my Kindle app. This is the wonder of the internet. I have a supercomputer in my pocket while I am on a supercomputer streaming to all of you. Hello, 21st century. How are you? I'm also getting tired of painting, if you can't tell. My hands are going numb. It's called The Iron Kingdom. It's the fifth book in the Dawn of Fire series. Notably, the Black Templars interpret the Emperor's godhood differently, so there's contention and a bond between the Black Templars and the Ecclesiarchy. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it definitely seems more like he is the God Emperor versus he's, you know, the Emperor. There's a lot of, I keep saying this, but there's a lot of Catholic that I see in the Sisters and the Black Templars lore, not just, you know, the sacrosanct kind of stuff and, you know, the temples and the churches, the atmosphere of it, but just some of the backstory and why they exist and what their purpose is. Sisters of Silence. The Celestian audiobook is fantastic. You are correct, sir. I really loved that one. I have started, I haven't finished it, the Sisters of Silence audiobook. The name escapes me, but it's quite good. It's different because it's the Sisters of Silence are silent, and so it's kind of told from a little bit of a different angle and story, which is fascinating to me, especially being that it's an audiobook. But so far, so good. Wish we could tell our ancestors that, for the most part, their struggles are worth it, and that the lives we live today are so much better for it. That's a great, I mean, yeah, especially as I said earlier, like, as a parent, I wish not even just my ancestors, but my parents and my grandparents, I wish they were still alive so I could tell them, like, yeah, you did good. We all got through. We all, you know, you guys did the best you could so that I can live this fantastic life I get to live. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of my child texting me, yeah, I wish that we could go back and show. I would love to show my grandparents a, mobile phone, a smartphone, and all the things that we could do on it. It'd probably freak them out. My grandmother was afraid of a microwave. She's well born before a microwave existed, and she refused. She didn't understand the technology, therefore she thought it was not something she was ever interested in using. Funnily enough, I don't really use a microwave myself, so she maybe passed that one along. Not that I'm afraid of it, I just prefer to cook on a stovetop. But there's also an order of the Sisters of Battle who are near silent. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look that up. Is this silence thing that seems to happen in those that are around this universe, like, is that where thought mark comes from, or is thought mark, it seems like it's less meant to be, for lack of a better way to put it, like, less meant to be sign language and more meant to be in battle, you can't speak, otherwise you'll get outed kind of tone to it. But I don't know if I'm just interpreting it that way. So Morvenn Vahl was a part of... Oh, interesting. I'll have to look up more about what she was a part of. Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. I didn't know that. I thought she was a part of one of the main orders, like Bloody Rose or Our Martyred Lady or something. I'll definitely look that one up. I'm one of those people who, as I read the books, I do go and look at the internets. Whether it's Adeptus Ridiculous, the Codex or the Lexicon. Another, I love Lord Voldemort. A lot of his stuff is really great. He's got some great content, both telling the lore, kind of reshaping some of the lore. I don't know if he is sanctioned, but it does seem like he's writing stories and things like that. Yes, your intercessor with the janky leg. How is the intercessor with the janky leg going? There's so much bronze. So much bronze. I'm gonna have to put something under his foot. A bolter or a pack of grenades? Yeah, I've done like a bolter or some kind of weapon. I've done, simple terrain type stuff, stone and whatnot. You could use something like these little bricks, right? Get some little bricks. The other thing that I do, depending on how, like, let's see if I have a good. These aren't the best version. I'm trying to find one that I just used. A piece of sprue. Damn. This one kind of shows it. So I wanted to put it on the edge of this shield area, like it was a shield door. And so in order to have it be that high there, I needed to build it up on something on this side. And so what I did here, I used basing from Monument Hobbies to build up around, but underneath, I literally just clipped, and this is why I keep all my sprue bits. I clipped just a small piece of sprue bit, glued that to the foot, glued that down, and that works like a charm every time, and then you can build up with whatever basing material you're using. That's worked really well for me multiple times. I've got a whole Sisters battle squad that I did with that. Works really well, and you can literally just cover it in whatever basing, or just hide it with some, grass or, sticks or whatever you have. Yeah, I love basing. That's actually probably part of my favorite part of the whole process. But definitely using something like, a bolter, or if you have an army that is their rival or someone that they might be fighting, taking something from theirs, like a head. I did my entire, this one I got a little crazy. My entire army. Oh. My entire army of demonettes. So they're just sitting, they're posted on some sprue bits underneath here, and then I built up all of these skulls around them, and then I painted the eyes pink to kind of make something a little crazy, and then stuck in a bit of the Martian green stuff world grasses. But it's just built up on sprue bits, double layered sprue bits, and those worked really well, and that's how the entire army is built up like that, so they're pretty cool. Yeah, I think Voldemort is great. I think he's a very good storyteller. Yes, nothing is gospel. That's kind of what I love about 40K and the lore and all of it. There's so many interpretations, and there isn't gospel, and there isn't. Not only is there not gospel, there's not anybody. There's not one person, right? It's not. And now this isn't quite the same, but it's not Star Wars and it's George Lucas. There's not one person at Games Workshop. There's multiple, and there's tons of storytellers, and there's all of the Black Library authors, and there's all of the people who are doing these other things on, Twitch and Instagram, and telling stories on YouTube, and Voldemort, and, Adeptus Ridiculous. Like, it's all just open and available, and you can interpret the way that you want. So I don't think any of it should be gospel, and it doesn't feel like even Games Workshop wants it to be gospel. Personal opinion. We do all have those. Oh, this is so tedious. This is why this thing has been put together for months. Sitting there, staring me in the face, waiting to be painted. Because it's tedious. Like, I am to the point at this moment in my life in which I would rather go prime, which is not something I enjoy doing because I don't know how people prime for long periods of time. It hurts my hand. My phone just gave me a bedtime reminder. I'm gonna paint and hang out for probably another 10 more minutes. And then we will go find someone to raid, and I will pass you off, and you can stay and have fun, or you can go to sleep, keep painting, doing whatever it is you want to do. So we will go pull a raid in about 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, mostly through a bottle of bronze. Mostly through a bottle of bronze. I have 44 followers. I am very close to my follower goal of 50. If you haven't followed and you want to make me the happiest girl, you too can do that. You can make somebody's night, because that would make me happy. Yes, that was a bag. What'd you come up with? I need to paint a disassembled marine malevolent. Yes, there you go. Perfect. Perfect. I have a lot of questions about the Marines Malevolent as well, because they came up in the last Dawn of Fire book, and I hadn't really ever heard of them. So I have lots of questions. I want to learn more about their lore, because they seem like maybe not the nicest people in the world. Yes, they seem like assholes. That is kind of what I meant. They seem like murderers more than anything. They seem like they're in it for the killing part, not for the Emperor. But they also seem pretty badass, so I can see why some folks might want to keep them around. But I hadn't seen them in any other book that I had read, so I don't know anything about where they came from. They wantonly cause death and destruction for nothing, which is fine. That's why they aren't punished. Yeah, they're so effective, you can't really be mad about them. But if you haven't read the Dawn of Fire series and you are going to read it, there is a moment in which they are in it. It's quite good. They're in it. The sisters are in it, and there's some moments between the sisters and the Malevolence that I found really a good read. Quite a good read. They're in the Salamanders book. It explains the beginning of the rivalry. Oh, okay. That explains why you would have the boot under there. I like a little good infighting. It's the Irish in me. We do enjoy. Oh my goodness. So much bronze. So much bronze. Do you know the name of the Salamanders books you're talking about? I'm not familiar with them. I think that people should be held accountable, including those people. Yeah, I mean, good people do bad things, and sometimes bad people do good things. I don't think it's black or white. And I think in this case, in this particular case of the Marines Malevolent, you're spot on, right? They very much are in it for death and destruction, and not for good reasons. They don't seem to have any compass when it comes to right or wrong, so to speak. Their moral compass seems a bit broke down, a bit odd. But it also makes sense, right? Like, we're talking about a massive universe that is full of both intense religion and, power and science and so many different things. There's bound to be those factions. I suppose in human history there's a lot of stuff like that as well. Oh, the book is called, the Tome of Fire trilogy. I'll look that one up. I haven't heard of the Tome of Fire trilogy. Again, I'm a reader. This is how I learn. I may die of old age before I finish this thing. I may die of old age before Saint Celestian has her battlement done. I don't know if this will get done in time for us to use it before I can no longer use my limbs. That is how long this is gonna take. Runs out of team tickets. What does that mean? I mean, until she... Is that... I don't know that one. Or for her respawns. Yes. She will no longer be able to come back. She will no longer even be around. The saint will no longer be the living saint. She will actually die. She will properly die. Hell, it may take me so long to finish this first-person shooter reference. Okay, it's fair. I'm really terrible at first-person shooters. I am all in on the hack and slash. Give me some buttons to mash, and I will kill anything. Alright, we are gonna end in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna finish this line. That'll make me feel like I'm at a stopping point. I'm really bad at stopping painting midway because then I feel like I've lost my mojo for the next time. I don't know how to get to the next point or where to pick back up, or something happens and then I never pick it back up. Yeah, I like hack and slash. Diablo Inquisitor is pretty hack and slashy. It's probably is a different term. That one I was talking last night. It was a really good storyline. What other games do I like? I also got into some of the, I did play Last of Us. Played Detroit. I played this one that was really bizarre. I totally love serial killer stuff. Um, and you're trying to get your son, I think, back, or your girlfriend, something from a serial killer, and then you have to do all this crazy stuff. Oh god, I don't remember the name of it. It was bizarre. Uh, my son watched me play it, and he was like, "Mom, this is really, really dark." It's like, this is even dark for me. It was that level of insane. Not to get graphic, but there was one thing where you had to like cut off one of your fingers to prove to this serial killer guy that you were serious or whatever. It was, yeah, it was awful. And then, it's one of those ones where you make all these, like, you have to perform actions and do things, and the series of choices that you make depend on which route, like, kind of like Detroit is. But there were some aspects that you had to do kind of first-person shootery type stuff, and I was just awful at those, so I ended up never finishing it. It also did get very dark, like very, very dark. Yes, it's dark even for Warhammer. It was like there was one part of it, and I don't think I'm spoiling this for anybody. I don't think this game caught on by any means. But it was like you had to make the choice if you were going to murder somebody or not, and it was like a child. It was quite dark, quite dark. Which again, I do like the dark. Didn't like that. All right. Okay, I'm officially painted out. I am officially tired. I need to get up early, head into the office, be a good little imp employee, do all the things. I need to stop eating these pretzel bites because they're so good. But I didn't work out since last week, so I need to stop eating them. So tomorrow night, Will be back on the channel, and we are going to play a kill team. We're going to play Novatates versus the Death Guard, so we will have some poxwalkery goodness up in this joint. And yeah, no, I think you are right. Pretzel bites maybe were invented by Slaanesh. They're very hedonistic. That is very true. I think you are spot on. And with that, I am going to find somebody to go and raid. Let's see who we can find to raid tonight. Okay. Who is up in the world of Warhammer? All right. We're gonna go raid. Oh, Runeforge. All right. Let's go up there. Do. Here we go. I'm gonna start the raid. Let's get ready to raid. All right. Thank you guys so much. Much appreciated. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.